on is the Thursday Night Forum. Thanks for joining us. It's the final countdown. We are on the eve of the start of the Premier League. Pull up a chair. You're all welcome here.
Or in UK, it is the kickoff day.
Let the man finish his monologue, dude.
I was just about finished. Tony, thanks for joining us, Tony.
Now he doesn't speak. You're sad, man. You're a sad man. No, you speak the whole time he's talking, then you finally get a chance to speak.
Thank you for
and he's like,
inviting
"I'm gonna do sign
me.
language." What's up with that?
Thank you for finally inviting me, Ray. You don't invite me every Thursday to be here. It's special to be here.
Now you're lying.
Wow.
Now you're lying. First you're like interrupting. Now you're lying. What's next?
It's almost like this is a documentary.
Who fucking knows, Gary?
Hey, Gary, Tony's gonna fart in the middle of the podcast.
I have no doubt.
And we're gonna say that who did that?
Stan is trying to join us as well. So Stan's had some audio issues. So hopefully we can get him not sign languaging to us. Grab your pre-flight drink or snack while the crew enter the cockpit. For BX Gunner, you can take a pre-flight toki before boarding the flight. Okay.
Yeah, so we got Big Gunner in the house. Des, the enforcer, is in the house. The Tony guy is always in the house. Tayyib's in the house. Anybody else joining us? That's it for now. I guess we'll see who else joins us later.
Yep. No, it wasn't me. It was Stan this time, Tayyib. So, but thanks for joining us. Gary, good to see you.
Thank you, sir.
And Alonso, yes, I forgot to send you the link. Sorry.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me. Hey, Ray. Hey, Tony. Hey, Gary. What is up?
Hi, Alonso.
So, listen, we'll get a Tayyib comment in here. Gary, you ought to be happier. Arteta's still in charge. Trust the youth.
I'm not sure what that means. What do you mean by that, Tayyib? Why am I going to be happier?
Des, we'll get you on probably in the weekend, Des, if you're interested as well. And Des will be over on the sister channel, Cannon Fodder TV, tomorrow as well. So check that out. Alonso, we'll start off with you. How are you feeling? You got nerves, or you feel calm about the new season coming?
It's about how we're going to start. Sometimes the team gives us high hopes, but then again they falter. But I think this is finally an Arsenal team that doesn't have to start off without knowing who their starting eleven is going to be. I know previous years we've had COVID issues, we've had people come out from tournaments. So I think this year we've done our business early, though we're not done yet. I'm assuming we have a Jesus and Zinchenko and Vieira joining the squad, and hopefully more people. But I think I'm okay with the start of the season coming up. I think we're injury free for the most part. I think that Tomiyasu, Tierney, and Amos as well was Vieira. So there's question marks, but for the most part, I'm okay with the way the season's going to start. I think that I'm a little confident, but also pretty much nervous as well, but more anxious than anything because, it was the season ended by early June, late May, so I'm almost convinced that I'm anxious. I'm interested to see what this team brings out tomorrow. Hopefully it's a good result, and hopefully this will dictate the rest of the season how it goes.
Yeah, Gary. I mean, it's just seems so quick. This window has gone by so quick, and here we are on the eve of another Premier League fixture, a Friday night fixture again for the second year running, and there are similarities to last year in terms of the venue, right?
Yeah, they want to see us fail. They love it when we explode and fill the Twitterverse with what we fill it with when bad things happen to Arsenal. So yeah, I think they like it. I think we as they say, move the needle when it comes to social networking traffic. We do it well when things don't go our way. I'm part of the window, the transfer window for me has gone all right. I mean, some of it's been kind of slow, and some of it's been the usual. We can't sell, and our players are aren't sellable, and our players have wants that we always cater to. So then we take even more of a big hit when we sell our players, but they're moving along. Like I said, like Alonso said, Jesus and Zinchenko, those are some really good players that we brought in. We haven't seen the other players much. Vieira is supposed to be a good player coming in, but we haven't seen him. So as far as I'm concerned, we don't know. And until we see him actually play, we won't know if it's going to work. And we still have 4 players that, as of this morning, supposedly they practiced, but we'll see. We're still out, a decent amount of good players, right? Tierney, Tomiyasu, Vieira, and Iosar have not seen much playing time in the preseason. So for me, they're still a week or 2 away from even being part of the squad. So we are light if we have any issues in this first or second week of football. So be good to get some players in.
Yeah, I think we forgot about Mark. We tend to forget about him because he's so young, So we have Marquinhos. I think he's going to be a guy that I think he's going to play in League Cups in the early stages of Europa League. But, I think he's a signing for the future, I believe,
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. I don't need players for the future. We've got tons of them. Think how many players we have for the future. You got Flores, you've got Patino, you've got Aziz, you've got Norton Cuffy. You can just name almost a full squad of players that we have for the future. Arsenal doesn't need projects. We've got tons of them. We need players that can kind of support and actually contribute to the squad today. We've got youth on the side. We've got Saka. You've got Martinelli. You've got Gabriel. You've got a lot of young players.
We've got youth coming through.
Saliba, sorry, and we don't need more. Marquinhos, 19-year-old, is he anywhere? Is he close to a Saka? No. Yeah. So we don't. He might play in those cup games and whatnot, but we need quality players not only to play the cup games, but to be able to back up the starters we have, so we don't miss anything. So yeah,
Gary Martinelli was that age when he broke out.
As Des said here, we did need experienced players. We got a few of those in. We prefaced Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko as experienced players and players who have been there, done that. As Stan gets himself settled in, I'll go to Tony next. How are you feeling for the new season, Tony? I'm going to keep going with this roller coaster a little bit, Tony, right?
Yep.
You're not going to find something new. We already did the roller coaster. Can we do something new?
Slowest shit.
Yeah,
we'll click.
We'll evolve. We'll evolve into something new.
As you can we're on the click as we get to the top of the hill for the start of the season. Then it drops off. And we don't know where we're going.
I'm sorry.
That was actually Tony.
As a fan, I want to have those highs, and I don't want to have those lows, but we know they're coming, right? So, Tony, you got anything else to say about you're hyped, you're nervous about the season?
I'm always nervous, especially with Arteta in the helm. You don't know what's going to happen. We have a quality of starters. The bench worries me. Worries me relying so much on Jesus. What happens when he goes down? Eddie doesn't do anything.
Yeah, he does.
He does?
Yeah.
What did he do the season that he kept playing for Lacazette when Lacazette was scoring and getting benched? He
scored against Chelsea and Manchester United, Tony, in the national season. Lacazette didn't do that. So go on.
Yeah. Listen, Eddie did show up toward the end of the season when he had 7 or 8 games.
Yeah, but what about other 4 or 5 seasons?
He needs chances.
We can't look back, Tony. We're looking forward.
You can't look back. So what are you talking about then? If you can't look back,
do we want to spend the podcast relitigating the past? About Eddie Nketiah, I don't. I want to
No,
move on.
no, but we brought up Eddie Nketiah about
You
what he
want
just
to back
did,
up-
and we
You
go
want
like,
to back up Tony's narrative.
we're just gonna fight, you know that. So there we go. We're
It's
doing
a
well.
new season. It's a new season.
We're fighting with Ray.
Gary, Tony, and I will fight.
It's gonna be a
Ray,
Royal
move
Rumble.
yourself in the middle.
It's gonna be a Royal
Me and Gary can
Rumble.
fight you.
Royal Rumble. Okay, Stan, bring some order to this thing, Stan.
Well, listen, good evening, panel.
Oh,
It's a robot.
Good evening, everyone in the chat box.
is it Bionic Man?
I think before we get proceedings underway, I really want to feel the energy that's here. So I want everyone to close their eyes and rub their hands together
Well,
like this.
I don't know.
Stan's talking on AM on a 56K motor.
There you go. That was a spoiler for episode 3 of All or Nothing. If you've not seen it.
I've seen all of it, Stan.
So where are we? Ray, are you just?
Your
Stan,
voice,
say I am a robot. Say
Your
I'm a
voice.
robot.
your voice is very robotic.
How's that? How's that? Can you hear me now?
I
Fucking hell.
can hear you, Stan.
There you go.
There's something.
You had it for a
It's like
second.
something loose. Something's loose, man.
Welcome to season 5 of Arsenal Fan Circle, everyone.
So you
This
can't
is-
hear me.
So we can hear you, but there's a lot of
Yeah.
static coming out as well.
It's a Bionic Man.
I give up.
Oh no, it sounds clear
There you
now.
go.
Yeah, here you go.
Oh, okay.
Whatever you just
doesn't
did,
give up, it fucking works.
don't turn it back.
I thought Stan was just bringing one of his usual theatrical gags to the podcast, but
Yes, you guys.
it was
So where we
actually
at
a
then?
glitch. All right, Stan.
We're closing our eyes and rubbing our hands together.
Yeah.
We're thinking about how you
Episode
feel
3.
about the season. Going into the season, how are you feeling?
I feel really good about going into the season. You know, my only worry is that we get off to a good start and we've got the documentary playing at the same time, because there's going to be, I've said this before, I know I sound like a broken record, but I don't want any distractions of all of the hard work that's gone on to prepare for this season. And I think so far I feel really good about it. I like the signings that we've made. I don't think that the signings have finished. It's not the end of the business. The board are backing the manager, and they do financially. So I feel really positive. You know, I think, you know, we've done enough to improve upon last season, and also perhaps get a few more points, which will get us into where we want to be. You know?
Yeah.
So I feel really positive.
I want to echo what you're saying as well. I feel positive too. We did ask for the club to go and get some business done relatively quickly. They got the players in good order, and yes, we waited around for a few players. But look at Manchester United, look at Chelsea, and you would not say that they are ready for the season, in my opinion, anyway.
For me, I think the only thing that is actually missing is
Is that noise is back.
oh, fucking hell. Really?
How do you wait for Stan to download?
I don't know, man. I don't know what's wrong with this
That
computer.
sounds better. So whatever you're doing, stay
I
right
I
there.
haven't done
Don't move.
anything. I ain't done anything. This laptop's on
Hands
its way
moving.
out, even though it's brand new.
The page
Yeah.
is fully loaded.
So yeah, listen, I feel good about what we're doing. Look at Chelsea, look at United. Yes, they've both got the power, the means, and the wealth to go and get some players, but they are going into the season now, and you wouldn't say that their squad is set right now. You would say ours is more settled than theirs. You know.
That's me.
We agree with you.
Anyone, silence means everyone agrees with me. This is
No,
good.
it's
Move
definitely
on,
not
Ray.
true.
I was going to say that I think that the only thing that I think is missing is, I mean, those fans that the season is finished, whether you are happy with the manager or the team or whatever, or whether you weren't, it's a new season now, and I think that can't everybody at least start on a good footing and give the team a chance
Mhm.
before we criticize them before a ball is kicked and still say the manager's shit? We've still got this player.
There's
Because
very little.
I think if we can bring those people back, I think it will help. Because I think that this team, thrives on having support behind it. You know, and you can see that in the first few episodes of the documentary, which I'm sure we're going to talk on in more depth in a moment. But I just think that if we can just try, and I'm not somebody like Why Not, for example, he's got his own opinions, and he tells us what they are. But if we can somehow get those people back on side to like say, okay, let's wipe the slate clean now. Let's see this season for what it is, and then we can talk again, rather than insisting on having a set mind on something. Because no matter what you thought of the team last season, it's not the same team this season. And I don't mean that just by new players coming in. I'm talking about players that are now another year ahead in their progress as well.
I wasn't specifically going to talk about the documentary, but since we've sort of...
It's 3 episodes.
I've seen them. What was striking to me, though, let's spend a few minutes then on All or Nothing, okay? What was striking to me was the players you're looking at from last season. They're not here. The ones you don't like, the ones that weren't good.
That is not true.
Which players you don't? Well, come on, there's one, right?
Well, you can't lie and say they're gone, and then say wait, except for that one.
Largely,
the main one.
Largely in the main, you're looking at players and like, okay, he played last season, but he's not at the club anymore, or he's moving on, or he has just moved on. In Bernd Leno, and listen, we wish Bernd Leno the best now that he's gone. We don't like the fee that we got for Bernd Leno. It was chicken feed, right?
They got a good deal. Very good deal.
Fulham have got a very good deal there.
Yeah.
And
would you rather have kept him for that much? $3 million?
We're keeping him no matter what.
In an ideal world, Tony, we would keep him, but the player wanted to leave, and a compromise had to be met. The World Cup. You talked about the World Cup and the significance it would have.
He's not just starting the World Cup.
But
you want him to. He wants to make it to the World Cup, be considered for the World Cup. And we keep saying, and I believe you might be also saying it, it's a World Cup year, so you want to bring players in because they want World Cup games. They want minutes. Yeah. Well, he's not getting minutes with Arsenal. So if we can't say you say that for every other player, you got to say it for the goalkeeper who's not going to play for you.
Yeah, and for largest part, we've got Gabriel Jesus, one of the better strikers in the Premier League, with us because he wants to make that number 9 position in the World Cup, for Brazil. And you're going to live and die by that sword, the World Cup sword, what it is.
I think Gabriel knows that in the Brazil side, they're well stacked on the wings. If he's got an opportunity to get into that team, it's through the middle. Mm-hmm. And it's probably a key factor in coming to Arsenal to try and forge out a place for him playing in that position, rather out on the wing at Man City.
And who's his competition?
Brazil?
Yeah, who's his competition?
I don't know who his competition is, but Brazil have a lot of good strikers.
I know, but we know you can't name them. You can name Jesus, but you can't name the other ones. How are they even close to on his radar? You know what I mean? Like usually a Brazilian striker, you should know his name.
Yeah. I know his name.
Say it.
I know his name, Gary. These nuts.
But yeah, let's all take one. Let's all go through and Stan.
Rafinha.
Give me, okay. Yeah, winger. Give me one thing that.
And I think maybe Rodrigo. Sorry.
Give me one thing that you're taking from the All or Nothing documentary, Stan.
I tell you the first thing that jumped out to me in episode 1, right? It was when they were talking about Aaron Ramsdale coming to Arsenal, and then they flashed up some tweets of what fans had tweeted out about him. Not only about him, literally like to the player. I was horrified when I saw those.
Yeah.
I could not, seriously, I could not believe it. My mouth fell open. I was like, why would people, one of the tweets said something like, you are going to get some serious abuse, you wait and see. Like,
well, once I
mean,
hope he died or whatever, but fuck.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking. I don't get that. I can understand somebody tweeting to their friends like, "I'm not sure about this guy. I think this could be. We could have maybe spent our money better." I can imagine. I can appreciate you having those opinions because that's what social media is for. But you don't need to at the player and bring him into the conversation, and you don't have to go to the player and be as direct like that. To me, that was just really poor representation, and also as well, some of the knee-jerk reactions by some of the fans at the beginning of the season, which I was probably a little bit party to as well, because you lose 3 games, at the beginning of the season. It's not a nice way to go into a season, right? You've had the summer, you're waiting for the season to kick off, and in the first 3 games, and you're like, what? So I kind of get it. So that was what I took away from that episode. But the other one thing that I took away was in episode 2 was when Xhaka had come back from his suspension, and he was in the changing rooms, and he was talking to Emil Smith-Rowe, and he said, my suspension is now finished. And Emil Smith-Rowe just looked at him and says, so what? You're straight back into the team then? And Xhaka goes, well, come on, man. I've told you from the first moment you came here, that you are the future. And Emil Smith-Rowe just looked at him and said, it ain't about the future. It's about now. And I like that. I like the attitude of Emil Smith-Rowe to have that attitude to someone who has quite a big stature within the team, right? He's saying he doesn't give a fuck about what's going on in the future. He wants his place in the team now, and if it comes at your cost, then so be it. So I quite like that, and I also like the way that ESR kind of ribbed him about him being able to just stroll back into the team after letting the team down. It wasn't like he'd been injured and he was coming back. He'd got suspended, right? And now he is walking back in. And Emil Smith-Rowe, he questioned that. And maybe that's the lesson there. If Mikel Arteta watches it back, he can pick up and say, oh, maybe did I set a bad example by allowing somebody to walk straight back into the team who's repeatedly let us down? I don't know. But that's what I noted there.
Look, it is curious that Granit Xhaka has been the mainstay across 6 years at Arsenal, even surviving this revolution, because the team has been turned over, the squad has been turned over top to bottom, and the one survivor, the one cockroach in the squad.
See, if you really were his friend, which I thought you were, you wouldn't have said cockroach, because cockroaches are despicable insects that you want to squash.
They might be, Gary, but they're also the only thing that will survive a nuclear holocaust. So, right, I can see Ray's point.
Yeah. Gary, what other things did you take away from it? And then we'll get to Tony.
I did a review with Ryan on Mr. Arsenal Fan podcast for the first 2 episodes. I had watched earlier in the day, and I was already, given a heads up that the first 2 episodes would be a little bit slow, and then it would start to pick up.
Who told you that?
Tom Canton. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was like a phone call from like a director of Amazon Prime or something.
No. I believe it's Tom Canton who said it. He said,
"Going to be slow."
Is it Tom Canton or I forgot? I think it was Tom Canton, but somebody who'd already seen it said, "I'm not going to tell you much, but I can give you kind of some background behind it." Now that I think about it, it might not have been Tom, but I watch him a lot these days. But the things that I didn't like about, I guess I can say, they didn't give you those conversations that you're talking about. I didn't catch that one with Emil Smith-Rowe, but I remember him talking about, you coming back into the squad and all of that, but I didn't catch the other part. I wanted a lot more of that because all the other stuff I knew, right? I knew all that stuff. Well, I think at one point when all the players are coming back, I think Cedric's trying to pull into a spot, and Saka is outside there, and he's like, oh, he's like, they're like talking, and he's like, I think Nelson parked in your spot, and then he's like, don't get mad at me, I didn't park in your spot. It's like, so I thought it was interesting. And then when you saw the brown like car, not brown, but the gold car show up, and you're like, whose gold car is that? And it's
you had to ask that question, but you have to ask.
It's like,
who's that having the golden boy
the gold card, so he comes out of that.
You had to actually say, I wonder who that is. As soon as it pulled up, I was like, I know who that fucking is. You know what I mean? Just
Then he's fucking
golden
all
car.
donned in gold.
Gets
yeah.
out in his
Fucking got
golden
everything
outfit
gold
as
on.
well. So,
No, I like
Midas.
that part.
Gold,
And then-
like gold member Stan.
fucking
Gold
CP,
member.
more like fucking CP30.
It should be C3PO.
Me and Stan are trying to say fucking more than the first 3 episodes of it.
And then, then I think they showed like the board with the the players and kind of the depth and all of that, and you saw like Ben, Ben's name up there right behind Holding and stuff like,
all the stuff we do, we know where we
Yeah,
are.
actually, I have a spreadsheet just like that with the laid out and all the different positions and the so they do the same thing, but theirs had the pencil. The ones that were written in were the ones they were bringing in the players for. So it was kind of cool to see how they did all that. Josh coming in and talking, that was interesting, especially in I think it's the second episode where we had lost really, really big.
Oh, did you notice as well? Josh said he said something about like it's his job to know what's being, even though he might not agree with it, it's his job to know what's being said out there. What the vibe is. So, who knows? Maybe somebody in that chat box, like BX Gunner, could actually be Josh Kroenke. We don't know. Right? He could be listening.
It's
no,
not
you saw it.
Gunner.
No, but remember when
seen
Ben
BX
White,
Gunner.
Ben White was talking and basically same thing. And they were sitting at the table, and Ben White's like, "Oh, got these kids mugging me off," and it's like, "What? $50 million for that poop, basically?" And I'm like,
"Shit, mate."
And so everybody says, the players know what we're saying. Yeah, they do. They don't. They might not be on. They might not be on the social networks, but they know exactly what's being said about them.
Yeah.
So
it is a little bit in that context. We have to be cognizant. Players are human too. We've seen a little bit of that in the episodes. I want to go to Tony, and then Alonso, and I don't know if Alonso has seen it. Have you seen it yet?
Oh, I have. I saw it when I was on Amazon Prime, and I thought, man, I gotta binge it. I gotta watch it right now. So I just stopped everything I was doing and saw all 3 episodes.
So, what were your thoughts on it? Will I go to Tony next? What were your thoughts on it, Tony?
My thoughts it's pretty much a little bit of nothing, because to me, you don't really, you don't get true insight. It's everything's through filtered lenses. It is. Interesting things I picked up on was Lacazette setting up a young players' table every lunch. That was interesting.
I think that was part of where
in a good way or a Jimmy Savile way.
No,
in a good way.
In a good way.
Okay.
In a good way. Okay. I think that was in the context of maybe Nuno Tavares. They were talking to him and being very quite introverted, Tony, and quiet about himself. And I know
they said the same thing about Emile Smith-Rowe as well when he first joined. Arteta said he was shy and he didn't know if it was going to work out because he was so shy. So I think,
So they had detailed maybe Lacazette to do that because in previous seasons he had worked quite well with the younger players, especially in the Europa League a couple of seasons ago, Tony.
Yeah, and I also like the parts showing the players, showing the player development people, telling them what to do, especially with Nuno. Part was interesting.
Yeah.
Overall, you're not going to see any juicy bits. If you're hoping for juicy bits, you're going to the wrong place to see it. There's nothing that's be ill said of a club. It's all to be positive stuff. See anything fighting inside the club or anything like that. It's going to be pretty filtered.
I think what's important as well, we know as fans as well, we know maybe the players are feeling homesick. So we saw that with Nuno Tavares. He was talking about it. Kieran Tierney had that issue as well. And, I know you tweeted, Tony.
His mum thought that he was going to be like a Charlie Nicholas, like 2.0, innit? Come down to London and just like fucking bird it up.
Yeah.
Down like China Whites every night after training on the champagne.
Yeah. Alonso, there was that aspect of the mental health as well that Kieran Tierney was dealing with as well with some of his friends.
Yeah, we as fans don't see that part. I think people tend to shy away from it because they don't want to become a distraction. But to see him open up about it is pretty, I think, pretty cool. As someone who has anxiety and all that, I think it's pretty important for people to know that it's okay to talk about it. And even himself, he had it really bad whenever he had some friends commit suicide. It was really tough, even to watch during that time. At least for me, it was. But yeah, man, my heart goes out to him. I'm glad he's able to talk about it. At least it's the first step. And even how he played was just magnificent when healthy. It's a shame that he's been kind of injured during this time at Arsenal, but I don't think it's in a bet. I don't think the best is yet to come for Kieran Tierney. I'm rooting for the guy even more so than I did that then. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's still a big part of the team and fair play to him.
It's mad though, isn't it? It's like he shares his house with his own personal chef that
Yeah.
also works at the club. Like the equivalent of that for me is sharing a flat with someone that works down my local kebab shop. And I might get a bit of a discount because, friend rates or something. Do you know what I mean? Different world.
Yeah.
But it's
Okay,
kind of cool though, He's kind of a little guy, He wants to show his he wants to make his point here at Arsenal, and for a while there we were all assuming that he wasn't he's homesick, yeah, but for him to come out and say what he said about him being sad and being able to cope with it and bringing on his personal chef, I think helped him out a lot because you saw his personal chef get emotional about it as well. So yeah, he's a good guy.
His personal chef's from Scotland as well. So what's he fucking doing for him? Like fucking frying Mars bars for him. Here you go, lad.
Tony, the third episode takes us up to the end of the Everton game, and the Aubameyang stuff is just bubbling underneath. It's almost like a preview for the next episodes.
That actually happens in the second episode. They kind of start giving you hints because they kept showing Aubameyang basically.
I didn't know your name was Tony
before the game. Yeah, whenever I feel like interrupting and it's you, I'm going to do it. So,
oh fuck you too, Gary.
There you go. Yeah, I love you too, man. No, but they were giving things away in that second episode because they kept showing him getting getting dressed for the game by himself in the one area, and there's 3 or 4 players on that side, but he's the only one there, which is interesting, right? And then but they did give that nice little story about why he wears
all forlorn.
Why he wears that, where he has the stars, the 2 stars on his head for the Tottenham game, So the North London derby, right? So that was kind of interesting and pretty, pretty. I think it's a powerful thing what he does there.
Yeah, and look, I think it showed a little bit with Aubameyang that he was only able really to get himself up for certain games. In this, we see this in the documentary now. He was non-existent for some games. North London derby comes up. Thierry Henry is there, and he does that trademark Thierry Henry slide when he scores the goal.
But the whole part of that, remember, is his grandfather passed away, and he dedicated a game to him, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And that game has a special, it has a special meaning for him. So yeah, there is the fact that he does disappear in games, but he definitely thinks about that one a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because
as Des said, haggis, neeps, and tatties.
Yeah.
Plus Scott's it's a stable diet. Stan, what kit are you wearing today?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Do you mean I'm not playing?
Tomorrow.
How did you get from tomorrow to today?
No, you got kit over your shoulder there. Which one are you wearing?
The yellow Vieira one.
What tomorrow?
The shirts.
Look, I might not necessarily watch the game wearing a kit. I don't sit there in full kit, socks, shin pads. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe you do. You got the water bottle going. I know you.
Yeah.
If you were wearing
warming up in front of the sofa.
Should have been a question mark at the end. Stan, what kit are you wearing tomorrow? if you were wearing kit, what kit are you wearing?
I would probably go. So, well, my Vieira one's supposed to be my lucky top, right? Because I wore it the first time at the 4-2 North London derby and we won. But ever since I've worn it since, we fucking lose, so it's not really that lucky. So it's you know what I mean.
So don't
Maybe
wear
I
that
should,
one tomorrow, Stan.
I don't
Big
know.
up Ray, Alonso, Gary, Ray again. See, I get 2 shout outs. Thanks, why not? Tony and Stanley.
Why not? If you've just joined
Yeah.
us, why not? Watch the beginning bit because we need you back. Right? I'm not going to say it now, but I said a little thing earlier, and we need supporters like you. Why not? We need you back. Right? If we're going to do anything, if we're going to do anything this season, we need everybody on board, man. So,
Stan, I think we are going into the season in the best nick ever, as we would say. We're in great nick going into the season, but I think people's views on certain things, such as the manager, are pretty much set right now. I don't think we're convincing anybody to come back.
But he's not going anywhere. He's not on the precipice of anything. You know,
Right.
it's not like he's on a seesaw and it's any day something. So then why not try and get behind him?
Mm-hmm.
Be that 12th man. Send out that positive energy. But if things continue to go perhaps in a way that's not sufficient, then we can all come back again and have another discussion and say, well, maybe, you know, he's been given the tools, he's been given the investment, you know, he's had an opportunity to work now with Edu and pick the players for his plan. And if the plan doesn't, you know, if the process doesn't become any kind of a process, but it becomes a fucking shambles, you know, I'm not saying that we should paper over the cracks and just keep smiling like that. Nothing, everything's all, you know, everything's all right. No, but we can't do nothing about last season now. It's in the rearview mirror. We can't. It's in the history books. But what we can do is try and believe that we can start this season off a lot better than we did that last season with the 3 losses.
Yeah.
You know.
And definitely, we have the fixtures that we should get out of the blocks. We should be flying out of the blocks in August, especially. Alonso is my Arsenal fan circle fan of the week nomination.
Thanks, Tom. I appreciate that.
You know, we've got another hour and a half, mate.
It doesn't even give anybody a chance. Right? The man said like 5 words, and then said he's a fan of the week.
I don't get going until about 56 minutes or so, man. So, you know,
that's a pre-nomination, guys. Relax.
Right, the guy, all he's talking about is his peanuts.
Alonso
next thing you know, fan of the week.
His peanuts.
Alonso slipped some money under the table there.
I did not say that.
Oh, peanuts, Stan. Peanuts.
Oh, okay. So my headphones.
While Stan was talking, Gary quickly turned his camera off. I was going to be like, quick, Tony, let's get a question to you.
I'm still waiting for you to ask me the question. You asked me 10 fucking minutes then.
What is the language? What's the language for? All I hear is just bad words after bad words.
Can I just say one quick thing about bad words? What do we think about Mikel Arteta swearing? Because you know you never hear him swear normally.
He's terrible at it.
Is he a good swearer? You know, some people are good swearers.
Nope.
Is it a case of? Do you think Amazon said, "Listen, Mikel, I know that you don't like swearing, right? But figures show that swearing is actually good for these things.
No,
so can you drop a couple of fucks
I like
in
how
here
he's
and there?
saying fucking instead of fucking. He usually does a bit of a G on there.
Right.
He's terrible. He's terrible. It's not. As I was telling Ray when we were chatting, I was like, you know what?
What about the fucking cameraman, Stan? Did you like his
Jesus Christ, Tony?
Algorithm, Tony.
Hold on. Aaron?
Be careful of the algorithm.
No, I was telling Ray that he doesn't sound right saying it. And I don't think that's the type of player he was, or the type of captain he was. I don't think that's what he's not going to be screaming in your ears with that language, trying to get you going, right? So I kind of feel like that was stretched a little bit, and that was pressed on him to do something. I don't want, because I kind of feel like
games.
Huh?
When you're losing games, you're not going to be happy, Gary.
He wasn't even upset. He just had bad language. That's all. He wasn't upset. Did you see Ramsdale when he was upset? Right? The clean sheet at the end. What was he saying? Right? Can't even clear the damn ball.
Ramsdale was unhappy, but he was still not a permanent fixture in the team, so he couldn't have a go at other players. He was
pissed, and he's allowed to be pissed. Yeah. You're up 3-0 with less than 10 minutes to go. You should be able to keep a clean sheet and clear the ball out the damn box.
Ramsdale being pissed is legitimate, but Arteta being pissed is not legitimate.
It's about the player, about the person. He's not that kind of a person.
You don't know Mikel Arteta.
I do know him. I know him.
We just get these little.
How can you say he actually sounds like a legitimate person that would use that language? He doesn't sound like it.
But the other players are allowed to curse, and he can't.
I did not say they're allowed to. I said he doesn't sound right coming out of his mouth.
Stan, what did you think of the cameraman cursing in his pre-match speech?
Oh, the guy that they brought in to do the speech. Who was that guy again? Who was that guy?
He's the lead photographer guy.
30 years doing this.
Stephen Farland. Stephen Farland.
George McFarlane. Another probably
Seth MacFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane.
No, Stewart.
Isn't that the guy that's Family Guy?
Yeah, it's Stewart
McFarlane.
I didn't know who's that Arsenal.
And American Family.
Yeah, it's right. You know, I mean,
I didn't leave the stream. I just turned my camera off, man.
I tell you what I take from the right, Mobay. How you doing, man? I tell you what I take from this.
Well, babe.
You know, I mean, and I can only, I mean, you know, we only knew Mikel Arteta really as the player, the post-match, pre-match interview, right? That's all we really know him as, and trying to see what he's like on a touchline. So we're getting to see a little bit more of him, and you know, I get the impression that he's liked, and I think that if you know, I was trying to look at it when I was watching it, I was thinking, would he be someone that I could see myself working for in a situation and, you know, having to take orders from this person? Maybe it was my manager or whatever, you know? And I think I probably would, because he looks like he's right into what he's doing, that he really wants, and you know, he wants to succeed at what he's doing, and he wants the players to succeed. And he said something about some manager said to him one time about, you know, looking at them just as a number, players as a number. And he said that, you know, basically not being invested in it too much. And he says that he can't. He goes, he has to understand about the person, what makes them tick, what's behind them, not just what they're doing on the pitch. He said maybe in 50 years from now I might be different, but now this is who I am, you know. And so, you know, you're getting to see a little bit more about him. So, and I quite like Mikel Arteta. You know, and you can see that when he had that chat with Josh Kroenke after the bad results. You know, he has, you know, and you know, he see how he was kind of humbled himself in front of his owner. You see that interaction there between the manager that's going through a bad patch and the big boss who's coming over, and those are the little things that I look at, the body language, if there's eye contact, how it is, you know, and you can see that, you know, that he takes it on his chin. He takes it to heart, you know, and I don't know what I'm saying here. I'm basically saying that I kind of like what I'm seeing as him as a person. The more I'm getting to see more of him, I want him to do well. I want him to succeed. I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, I think when cameras are following you around at first, you see the cameras are first, okay, but then you have to do your work.
But have you noticed? I've noticed in the changing rooms, I don't think they've actually got a camera team in there so that he's doing his talking and there's people with boom mics and grips.
No,
to me, I think they've got cameras that are embedded in walls.
Yep.
So that you try and forget. You're not actually seeing blokes standing there and someone, right, take scene one, team talk. It's more trying to do it more natural. That's what it looks like to me. But and it's going to be interesting to see that if people keep up an act, right? A psychologist once said that it's difficult to do it for longer than 6 weeks. If you're trying to be someone that you're not. So as it goes on, you know, you'll start to see more of him. He'll either maintain the same veneer, or you might start to see cracks, and you might start to see another side of the manager as he starts going through more trials and tribulations, and it's hard for him to keep up an act. It's only 3 episodes, remember? But I like what I'm seeing so far of him.
And we haven't seen inside every away dressing room there was. There could be permission. Permission was not allowed for some cameras to be inside of the away dressing rooms. in some of the instances. So I'm not going to spoil it for too many people, but they weren't in every dressing room after every game, and I thought the speed. Just to quickly wrap this up, we'll go to Alonso as well. I think uh, he hasn't had enough airtime, or Tony hasn't had enough airtime on this specifically. But I thought for 3 episodes we've gone through to December pretty quickly, Alonso.
You mean on the show?
Yeah, the 3 episodes seems to have gotten us into early December.
And that's okay because I think that's probably, a time at Arsenal that we fans maybe know the result, right? So maybe it's a good time at Arsenal. Maybe the cameras want adversity. Maybe the cameras wanted more communication with then the club and the players, and so maybe we didn't see that for a reason. However, it is a long season, so maybe they had to shorten it up a little bit to make it seem like, well, the club's in turmoil, the club's happy, the club is okay, the club is doing great. So they probably did it in spurts to where we could, as fans, can see the highs and lows more so than the whole season. So yeah, that's what.
I remember Attilio Lombardo. I think he was a Sampdoria player as well. Tony, how many episodes are there in total?
8.
8 in total. So we have 5 more episodes. I guess that seems reasonable to cover the
I
remainder.
think we're 3 next week, then 2 the final week.
Wow. So it's gonna go really quickly, Gary.
Yep.
The next 2 weeks it'll be gone.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I thought there would have been a lot more during that 3-game losing stretch. There wasn't much. I mean, I guess I would have liked to. I kind of like to see more, I guess, of that time, because I can't imagine you go through that stretch and the team, didn't have a lot of material that we could have seen. But maybe that's what happened. They had not the right material that they wanted to display, because that was a tough time, I believe, going through those 3 games, right? I mean, you see, they show some of the highlights, and you see players screaming and fighting and stuff, and you're like, so you're telling me when we lost 5-0 to City that nobody basically let out? When we lost 2-0 to Chelsea,
4-0 to Liverpool.
Well, I'm just talking about the first 3 games, right? I mean, those 3 games, just the aftermath of that, it's got to be a lot. Right, and then the second episode was all about the North London derby, but it really wasn't. It wasn't not enough for me. I mean, they talked to a couple players about it, but not. I really want to see the players. There was Henry talking a couple of times and stuff like that, and I think we saw the interview with Josh, which I think is the same interview we saw. So I wanted to see stuff I hadn't seen before, or mostly the players and the coaches, kind of how they interacted when all these things were going on. So yeah, no, it was, like I said, it was the first episode was the longest. The second one was like 40% less. So it's like, wow, I would like to.
How many episodes is it in full in the whole
8.
thing?
Yeah,
8.
Okay.
yeah.
Only got 5 more.
Okay.
And we're into December. We got to get through the captaincy issue with Aubameyang, moving him on, and of course the January window.
So the Ozil stuff's not in there then, is it? That's all.
No.
Okay.
Tony, you had your hand up.
Yeah, as I was saying,
Lightly.
we're talking about Aubameyang, and they don't. He gets benched for 2 games. It doesn't go into depth at all why he got benched. It just moves past it.
Well,
It gets to just for preview of him losing his captaincy.
I mean, the Everton game was his last game. He played in the Everton game. He was taken off.
They did talk about him getting pulled in 2 games.
Yeah.
And that was and you could see that was going to be an issue. I mean, especially the first time it happened the season before, right?
When was he late for the North London derby? Was that the season
2
before?
seasons ago.
Okay, that's already
Yeah, when
happened.
I was watching it and saw the helicopters and shit, I thought there would be like above Aubameyang's car when he was late. I was like, oh fuck, that was the season before.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Can I answer this question here, right? Why not says Arteta out always. I'm no ATV pay comedian. I don't change due to general consensus. So my question is, right, is there nothing that Mikel Arteta could do next season, or there's nothing that Arsenal could achieve next season that would make you think, yeah, actually, there's no turning you around. You know, we win the Europa League and we finish in the top 4, or we don't win the Europa League, but we finish in 3rd. Or do you know what I mean? Is there nothing that could happen next season, or we win 2 cups and finish in 4th? Like, we don't win the Europa League, but we win the League Cup, the FA Cup, and finish in 4th place. Is there nothing that would make you at some stage say to yourself, actually, yeah? I'm just curious because you say Arteta out always, right? Is there nothing? I mean, you've obviously got your opinion because you don't like what you've seen up until this point, and that's fair enough. I get that, but is there nothing that he could do that would change your mind? Just curious. But anyway, sorry, Ray.
Winning the Europa League would be a big deal, I think.
I'm just curious to see if people can be won back based on performances and improvement.
Well, Stan, I have a comment on that. So Bree mentioned that in the show that Arsenal shouldn't be less than top 4.
Yeah.
And there's a standard to being an Arsenal football club that you shouldn't finish no less than top 4. And there's standards that Arteta should take into account. And, you know, anything less than top 4 is a failure. And he's right, because Arsene Wenger took the bar so high that we've picked in recent years. And that's whoever's fault is here or there now, because now this is Arteta's team. Now he has to prove himself to not only the fans, but players in the past as well.
I mean, I agree with you, and I think that with the amount of money that's been invested under Mikel Arteta's tenure, which is close to around about £300 million, and still climbing, yeah. Is it near 4 million, 100 million? Is it
400?
Near 500 million.
Really? Is it?
No,
No, come on, it's not 500.
500 million.
I thought it was about 340. But if Ray's saying it's 400 million, well, there you go, right? So let's say it's somewhere between around 350 million, right? Without us looking it up, but that's a lot of money, and it's still climbing. And I think that if at the end of this next season we're not back in the Champions League by hook or by crook, somehow, you know, even if we don't get into the Champions League, we win the FA Cup. To me, I think that wouldn't be good enough.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm getting at? We are a team that needs to be back in Europe, and I think with that kind of investment, and Mikel Arteta has been given the reins to spend that money. You know, they're not hobbling him. It's not like an Emery scenario where he goes, "I want a right winger," and they deliver a left winger, and vice versa. You know, he's being given backing. It's up to him now, and the players. We're going to see whether he spent the money correctly. You know, we're going to see whether a Fabio Vieira is an addition to the squad. We're going to see, you know, whether Gabriel Jesus is going to be able to forge it through the middle and be a proper number 9 for us. We're going to see whether Eddie Nketiah, it was justified to increase his contract, and whether he's going to be able to like provide for us on a regular basis. And then we're going to see whether players like Martinelli, ESR, and Saka continue to grow and progress, and they haven't already reached the ceiling. Whether Big Bill Saliba can live up to his, you know, reputation of what he's done in France. So it's going to be an interesting season. No excuses.
Sorry, Ben. You forget if Odegaard can also handle pressure of being the captain of Arsenal.
Yep. You know,
big catch, in my opinion.
There's that as well. You know, there's a lot for this season, but it's all going to fall on the manager.
I mean, it's not. You gotta have progress, right? So the only way you're gonna have progress is you move up the table, and you can put yourself in situations where you can win trophies. So that's where Arteta has to be in the only way. So, like you said, top 4 has the bare minimum, but you would like to see progress in the other the other cups, and it can't be the thing. The issue can't be, well, you know what, you're playing in more games, so that's why things were tough. No, that is part of the job. You can't say you're going to have progress, take on more games, and make that be the excuse. That can't be. The team knows this, and they've known this for many years how this thing works, right? And they were able to succeed with that in mind for years. Only lately have we now seen that, you know what, it's tough not playing these European games. Well, so you have to show progress. So fifth, we've gone from fifth to eighth to fifth. Yeah. It's got to keep continuing going up. The trend has to be better than the last time. The players need to be improving better than they were the season before.
This set in under Arsene Wenger, Gary. This rot.
It doesn't matter. We don't want to go back, right? Remember, we just said that, so we're not going back. So Arteta right now is trending in the right.
You wanted me to look back 20 minutes ago.
No, you told me not to, so I'm not looking back anymore. So going forward, he needs to be trending and getting better, right? If that's what we're talking about. The only way he does that is he move up the table, and he takes on more responsibility in terms of now he's got European football, and also he has to maintain some semblance of competition in the cup games. We can't be getting knocked out in the early rounds. No.
That's a good question, Gary, right? As it stands at the minute, forgetting who else might be coming in the next week or two, but as it stands right now, do you think that the team, that's the manager of the team, has got what it takes to get into the Champions League next season? You don't?
No, because we don't have because we're playing with fire again. We're playing with this is the same thing I said in January.
Is it because of the manager, or because you think that we're short in places still, or what is it?
Depth.
It's depth, and it's always been depth. That was the problem in January, right? We can't take the risk that everybody's going to be healthy, and they're doing that again. Right now, Partey, for me, is linchpin for this whole thing right now, because we've got some semblance of depth in all the other positions on the pitch, but we don't have an answer for Partey. And El Neni isn't the answer because it's only a stopgap for 1 or 2 games, and then after that, you wear down. Same thing with Cedric. It works for 1 or 2 games, and then it falls apart again. Like Zinchenko is the perfect type of player that you want to have, because he can play for the rest of the season either at midfield or at left back, and we don't lose anything, right? And that's where we need to be if we're talking about where we want to go.
As long as you have depth that's good enough, if you miss Partey for a few games and you have depth that can cover that position, there's no teams in the Premier League that have 2 excellent players for every position.
I'm just telling you what we need, and we need something better than what we have as depth right now.
Okay.
And so maybe we don't get it. Maybe we don't buy 2 Parteys. I get that, but we can't have a series. There's a big divide between Partey and who plays behind him.
You see, I think someone like Cedric is a good backup player, but the problem arises is when Tomiyasu can't play enough games and Cedric he stops being a backup player and he starts becoming your regular player.
That's what I mean.
You see what I mean? That's the problem.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm giving him 2 games. I'm giving him 2 games, but once you're like saying he's going to have to take over for a month, we're in trouble.
Yeah, same with Tavares.
Saliba coming
in. Players, not backup players.
Saliba coming in, back Cedric down onto the substitute bench, further down the row, because now you got Ben White, you got Tomiyasu as well.
But you don't have anybody behind. You don't have anybody behind Saliba or Gabriel.
Now you're playing all of your CBs.
You don't. Why? You just put him on. You just said he's a right back. Which one is it? He can't play both. You just because you can move him around, but you got holding. But you need to rotate. You need to rotate when you go into the cup games and European games, and he can't do both.
White can play right back and he can play central defender.
Not at the same time. The man can't play that at the same time. So no, he can't. You need to rotate. You're not playing Tomiyasu every game, right? You're not playing.
Why did we buy him for? He can't play. He can't play right back, centre back at the same. No. Waste of money. Get rid of the fucking.
No. Well, think about this. We're
going. We're the fucking hybrid for it.
No. Think about it. We've got 2.
I was under the impression he could do both.
No, think about it. You got 2 Premier League games. I don't know what
I've heard it all
who we're
now.
playing. You're the one that's saying he can play both. I'm like, no, he can only play one, which means you have to have depth
Morty!
everywhere.
Morty, stop
So,
being salty.
hey, Tony,
Let's
quiet.
get on to
quiet.
Selhurst Park. Come on.
Why? We're talking. We got like a whole hour. Leave me
Jeez,
alone.
Tony, calm down, man.
We gotta give
Hey,
the
as people say, let me land. Let me
tough
land, or whatever that
challenges.
means.
We
Yeah,
got a
you're
lot of you in
hovering.
there.
You're hovering.
Let me talk, man.
You had the landing pad.
And in case anyone hasn't noticed, the secret word for today's podcast is semblance. I repeat, semblance.
Some semblance of a good squad. We
I
don't have
heard it
it.
all now. We want Ben White to play two positions at once.
No,
right?
I don't. You want him to do that, and I keep telling you we can't.
Can't we just cut him in half?
Solomon.
No, like I said, if Ben White is considered a backup to Tomiyasu, then we need a center back. It can't be he could just shift over.
Yeah, but isn't Tomiyasu a backup to Ben White because he can play centre back?
There you go. There you go. So but we need some true. We need true squad players for this to work for me, and it can't be you're multifaceted, so you can play White as a center back or as a right back, but then when we need to rotate the back line, we can't because some of those players have to play.
Okay, you've landed. Good.
Yeah, but we've got Holding that can come in, and then of course there's Pablo Mari.
But did you just say what did you just say? Cut your mic. Cut your mic.
We've got Holding.
Shut it off.
Pablo Mari.
No, shut your mic off now.
Isn't this a good thing?
How dare you say that name?
I was going to say notwithstanding.
Isn't it a good thing that we don't know who's covering for who? Is Kieran Tierney covering for Zinchenko? Is Zinchenko covering for Kieran Tierney?
That's probably the problem on the pitch that the players don't know who's covering for who.
Zinchenko and Tierney for me is the perfect situation. We're not going to lose whoever we start. No matter who we start, we get some good things from either one of them, maybe different skill sets, but we don't. The drop off is insignificant.
I actually think Kieran Tierney is dead, and they just haven't announced it yet. They're trying to work out how.
But talking about Cedric, I don't think he's going to play many Premier League games, Cedric, because we've got Saliba, we've got White, we've got Tomiyasu. There's 3 players ahead of him.
But I worry about our fullbacks. I'm worrying about Tomiyasu because this was supposed to be just a muscle thing, right? A calf muscle thing. It wasn't like he'd broken a bone. And then somehow, while one muscle was healing, the other muscle went bad, apparently. I mean, I don't know how that happens.
They will be filling the bench tomorrow.
And
they will be on the bench. They will be available to play, but they likely won't play.
That's the problem. They're not available. They're not available. And we do this all the time. We put players on the bench.
Gary, they are available.
But you just said we would probably not play them.
I said likely. They likely won't play.
No, they need to be on the bench if they can play, because that's what we've said that so many times.
They can play.
Tierney, right?
I don't believe that.
He barely made 30 minutes pre-season, right? He'd been out for ages, right? He barely made 30 minutes, and now we've not seen him again. It's not like they didn't withdraw him after. They didn't withdraw him after half an hour, and then the next game, put him in for another half an hour. We've not seen him again. I'm really worried.
Tony, we are getting to the game.
About the quality and the fitness of our fullbacks.
Listen, they are not match fit, but they are available to play. They likely won't be playing tomorrow. Emile Smith-Rowe, probably Tomiyasu, and Kieran Tierney. I know there's a 4th one in there, Fabio. We're probably going to be waiting on him a little bit.
Couple more weeks for him at least, that sounds like.
Some of our bench, those 3 players will not be match fit, but they will be available. Why Not has come back to you, Stan. Europa League win, top 2 or 3, and an FA Cup final. So you can get to the final minimum to redeem himself for the past 2 exits. 3rd, 4th, Southampton, Notts Forest, the North never forgets.
And I like Mr. Tom's response to that, saying, has Why Not gone all Game of Thrones on us there? The North never forgets. And Lannister always pays his debts as well.
What's up with Mr. Tom? He's just like, what's up? We're supposed to be friends with Tom, and all I'm hearing is, I don't like you. I don't get that.
Do I see a tear?
No. No, I'm all right. It's
Gary's stop inviting him on the road trip.
it's
Trip.
it's hay fever. Yeah.
It is warm here. So the top 4 race is going to be a lot closer than a 2-horse race. BX Gunner, I share some of your optimism, but I still think it's going to be a 2-horse race. And then there's going to be 4 or 5 teams vying for 2 spots after that. I don't think the gap from last year, from second to third, will be the same. I think that will be closed, whoever is going to be third or fourth. I think Jesus will challenge Salah and Haaland for the Golden Boot this season. He's definitely been very efficient. So, Tony, let's talk about the game, yeah?
Yeah, Selhurst Park. Let's go.
My first ever Arsenal match fixture, that was.
Yes. You told the story.
I have. I'm not going to tell it again. I'll go on then. No, I'm joking. No, it was my first ever. Sorry, Tiny. Just give me a moment. And then it was my first ever Arsenal game, right? The first one was Crystal Palace Newcastle. My dad took me back again. Crystal Palace Arsenal. I hadn't chosen a team. He was hoping I would have chosen Newcastle because he's Newcastle. And it was Liam Brady. Liam Brady running around, number 7. I came away being an Arsenal supporter. So I always liked this particular fixture. Arsenal at Selhurst Park. So can't wait. Tony, sorry about that.
Tony's got a story about Selhurst Park, but he's not going to bore us with that.
Oh,
what you saying? I bored you.
I'm
Cheers.
coming from the kitchen, Tom. Coming from the kitchen. This was
Can I tell the story, Ray?
Sure.
Ray said that if you see it,
Stan,
good for
Stan
you.
told the story.
It counts if you see it. I seen it. You had it up there for 3 seconds. If you didn't say good for you for getting it, if you seen it, I looked up there. I literally solved it in a second. Walked off, took care of my nan, then came back 30, 40 minutes later. Knew I had the question in hand. Blew the last 3 or 4 questions because I knew I was going to win. Then Ray fucked me over.
Have you seen?
I had Selhurst Park already written down.
These things happen.
Can I just ask you guys a question? What do you think about this? Us starting fucking seasons on a Friday? Does it bother you?
It bothers the fuck out of me. I don't like it.
They hate us. They hate us. And if we lose, then they laugh. That's why they do this.
I think we need to take advantage of this month where we're going to play a lot of our games on Saturdays.
I think it needs to be Saturdays and Sundays and Tuesdays.
In September, it will be a lot of Sundays, and we need to take advantage of the start to this league to get high up in the league so we're not playing catch up on Sundays. And psychologically, that's going to be tough if we're trying to need 3 points every Sunday.
Can we see the Pepsi Zero can so we can get some
pace with the top 4? So, BX Gunner says City or Liverpool will drop back from this race. They've contested the title in the last 5 years, and I feel some other team will emerge this year. I mean, I think we're fighting to be best of the rest. I would not be an Arteta fan, but I would be less fought up Arteta's arse if he would do that, Stan. Win the Europa League, get to the final of the FA Cup, notwithstanding. Your impressive season, I think you'll fall short of 4th, but you can do it.
I don't know, man. I think when you say the best of the rest, I just have a feeling that there's a rebuild going on at Man United that's a little bit behind ours. Mm-hmm. So I think we've got a jump on them by default. Yep. We need to capitalize on that. I think Chelsea as well are going through a little bit of a rebuild. Think of this season a little bit similar to the season when Leicester won it. Other teams were going through states of flux and rebuilds and changes of managerial philosophies, and that seems to be happening here. I'm not saying that's going to affect the winner of the league, because I think that Man City and Liverpool, they still look fairly stable, but it does, I think, leave that the 3rd and the 4th spot a little bit more open. I don't think where Chelsea was so nailed on to be 3rd, I don't think that's the case anymore. I think there's an argument that there's a few teams that have enough about them, us included, to get into the 3rd spot, let alone the 4th. So it's going to be interesting to see. You know, you might find Liverpool and Man City being in the top two. You could find maybe us being in third, and fourth spot could be a team that we've not mentioned. Or we could be in fourth, and the third place could be a team that we've not mentioned that does us by a point to get into the third spot. You know what I mean? It's quite tight. But I don't think that I think Man United and Chelsea aren't the nailed on as they were maybe a season or two ago to be third.
Yeah, there's definitely been issues at Man United. Definitely, Chelsea. I feel like Chelsea are a club that are used to upheaval. They will be able to churn results, but I don't see them. If I was a Chelsea fan, I would not feel confident going into the season.
I'll see if I can find that tweet, man. It was it was one of the best stats. Where was it? Chelsea have spent 417 million euros on 5 strikers, and all have failed to score more than 8 Premier League goals in a single season.
Wow, that's like Arsenal standards last season.
I'll take all the fucking money we've wasted on center backs.
What money wasted on center backs recently?
Until we got to the ones we have now,
What are you screaming at me for?
4 fucking years. What do you mean? What's center backs?
Yeah, the days of the Mustafis hopefully are behind us.
Tony
Right?
was
that's what I'm saying.
Until he started watching these latest All or Nothing episodes, and now he's cursing like Arteta.
No, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, the same amount of effort they're putting into, solidifying the back line, I want that in the midfield and forwards. I mean, you can't tell me you put all that work into your back line and your midfield is barren, right?
Here's a problem, though. I think that had we not had this gaping problem with our fullbacks, which has happened at the same time, I think that, it seemed obvious that when Mikel Arteta got the first lot of money, it was the back area that he went to first. The goalkeeper, the back line, he made sure that we were solid there. And then he was moving on. Now that we've got this problem at fullback, I think it's kind of, they've had to readjust a little bit. They've had to pivot in their thinking. You know, I think they thought that was done now. That was a closed book. And we were now looking further up the pitch. And, they've done pretty well by bringing in someone like a Zinchenko, who is, because I'm so glad that they've addressed that and are not thinking we'll struggle on with Tavares. Because again, Tavares it may be a good backup, but when he doesn't become the backup anymore and he's playing maybe half of the games, that's when you see the weakness.
I was a fan of Tavares and I wish him well on his loan spell, but of course, I see Zinchenko coming in is a much better option now. We've instantly upgraded there. Des says we cannot lose against Southampton, Nottingham Forest, Brighton this season as well as others.
Yeah, that's why I really believe that having a better squad player behind Partey is more important for us. Because I believe for me, Tierney and Tomiyasu being out wasn't as big of a loss as Partey being out and not having a big enough quality behind him.
Barry, what?
Because he sits in front of the back line and he definitely helps them out and relieves a lot of the pressure on them. So when he's out, we have nobody protecting that back line.
Can I ask you a question?
But even now that he may be in, with all that's happened with him over the summer, Gary, how is he in there?
You just basically have now added more than what I even thought.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm more looking at the fact that physically he can't.
Think that, Gary.
No, I'm just saying physically he can't. No, but physically he hasn't shown us that he can make it through his season. So without even thinking about all the other things that are going on with him,
we rushed him back one time, now, didn't we? That was our fault.
Twice.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, twice. It was our fault.
2 seasons in a row, he's come back twice and had to leave in the same game.
Gary, I've got a question for you. With Partey being out, you saw Lokonga come in, and you didn't like it. Are you making this decision now based on Lokonga?
When Sambi came in, initially my thought was that it was to back him up. When I saw him play, I realized it wasn't.
Yeah, Gary's right.
When Tavares came in, I realized it was. My initial thought was he's backing up Tierney. He looked good for a little bit, and then the Liverpool game basically did what it did to Mari. It basically knocked him out, and it took a while for him to get back into playing football again.
Sambi looks a lot better playing in that more advanced left-sided role that Xhaka plays in than he does playing in Partey's spot. And I always thought that Sambi was coming in to be a more deep-rooted player. And I even think Sambi thought he was coming in to be a deep-rooted player, because I've heard him say that he prefers himself more as a 6. But there was one game pre-season that he started off there and he had a nightmare. And when they moved him forward into that where Xhaka plays further up, he had a better game. He actually was making things happen a little bit. He had a presence.
I think we're thinking about this when Partey's out. Lokonga came in, and we're seeing the drop off. But we know what El Neni did for us.
El Neni has to be the one to come in.
But he's not the answer long term. That's the problem.
But he is the closest one, though.
No, but it doesn't. It doesn't even matter.
He does a good job.
But he can't last. He's not gonna. We're not putting him in for 20 games and getting the performances that we want. Right now,
shouldn't be for 20 games. No, shouldn't be for 20 games.
It shouldn't be, but Partey's not giving us over 20 right now.
But Gary,
we're thinking right now. Think about it. We're talking about Premier League. We're talking about the Europa League.
He was hardly injured, didn't it? Though before he come to us, when he Partey, hardly injured. So maybe it's not like Tierney. Tierney had a little bit of a history with it. But I like El Neni, and I would say that if I'm looking at the squad and Partey's not available, who would I pick? It would be El Neni. But like Gary says, we can't have him in there for 20 games in the league, because that's not a backup anymore. It's the same with the fullback positions. It's not a backup. Imagine Partey, Tomiyasu, and Tierney are all out for 20 games. I mean, then who knows where we're going to fucking end up if that's the case.
The whole team cannot be on one person's shoulder.
I know.
We're not saying that. We're not saying that.
Three positions here. If you think about it, there are 3 key positions here, which are all in a defensive realm where we're struggling. Thomas Partey and fullbacks. These are key areas when it comes to defensive. And if we have to rely on backups to play in those 3 positions for 20 games, fuck. I'm just thinking about that now. That's a whole different. That's a different team, isn't it?
Stan and Gary, hear me out. Please, hear me out till I'm finished, okay? If Partey's injured and El Neni plays, we're not relying on El Neni to win games for us. We're relying on the other 10 players to win games for us.
Not in that position on the pitch, because that is a crucial position. It's
not the only position on the pitch.
It's one of the most crucial positions on this pitch for Arsenal.
And you were saying that, then you're saying that Lenny's not competent to run that position.
That is correct. I'm not saying he cannot do that he cannot take over for Partey. He can't.
For 20 games, he can't.
No, he can't. He can't. We've seen it. He can't go 3 games.
Yes.
He can't go 3 games. He's a year older now. How do you expect him to play better a year older in a position he's not even really that good at?
I mean, I don't know whether he could or not, but I would say this: my opinion would be it's not ideal. I'll put it like that. Let's say, because we don't know, right? It could happen, and he could surprise us and be like, "No, it's not Perlo." But I don't want it to happen, and I don't think it would be ideal. Backups should be backups, right? That's why they're backups.
What about Ben White there?
Dan, if Saka is injured for 20 games, that's not ideal. If Gabriel Jesus is injured for 20 games, that's not ideal.
No.
It's not the only position on the pitch. Partey's position is not the only position.
But we have Martinelli. We have Emile Smith-Rowe who can play there.
Not on the right.
But
that's why we need to bring in a right wing. Everybody's asking for what do we need to do to finish up this window. One of those places is reserves there. But for me, we still need a backup behind Partey, regardless of whatever we do.
I know.
We've been talking about buying someone to accompany Partey, right? We've been talking about someone to accompany him. So if Partey's out and we still haven't got someone to accompany him, who's replacing? Do you know what I mean? We're already short. We're saying. Because he hasn't got a decent partner. That's what a lot of people feel that, right? We're undecided.
Both of you happier?
Fuck it, yeah.
Tielemans, Gareth.
He's the chosen one. He brings balance to the force.
I don't know.
Funny
Is
though,
he?
it
Is he?
brings
Actually,
coaching
is he?
badges,
Is he?
man.
Is he?
Coaching badges.
So if Tielemans is in and Partey's out, what's going to be your midfield? You're going to go with a double pivot?
Maybe. I just think that
I just don't
if
think
we look a midfield of Partey, El Neni, Xhaka, Tielemans,
It would
Fabio
be
Vieira, Odegaard, ESR, who can play there. That's 7 players I've named.
Well, let me give you
What
one.
I think is
Sambi
right.
Lokonga.
Sambi Lokonga, that's 8. I think that with those players, we have what we've got now is variety. There's a couple of things that we can do, whereas previous to that, we really only had a few players that we were going to go with at any one time, and we didn't have variety. So the opposition that were coming to play us kind of had an idea what we're going to do. I just think now that they're not all world beaters. You're never going to have that, all right? But we do have variety in there to move things around with those 8 players.
Yeah.
We could only ever play 3 at one time, really. Yeah, 3. We've got 8. We can pick 3 from 8.
It will likely be El Neni, Tielemans, and Odegaard.
What, Xhaka? He's a fan favourite, isn't he? The manager's favourite. Come on, he's the manager's favourite. Xhaka's in there, right? Yeah, Xhaka's always in there.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think
Yeah.
Tielemans is a replacement or
The
a
team is
good.
built around him, Stan.
I don't think Tielemans can back up a Partey, or he's a squad player to Partey.
Oh, but
The manager will use El Neni or Xhaka. That's who he used.
Naby Keita can't back up Fabinho.
Maybe go to like a
Right.
double pivot, like you say,
There's
right?
there's no player. Liverpool fans will tell you. Jack is maybe here as well. Nobody can replace Fabinho what he does for the
A double pivot of Xhaka and Tielemans with Odegaard ahead
Well,
of
I mean,
him.
all we're saying is that if we not, because Arteta is pretty stubborn in the way that he manages the squad, right? So a player comes out and instead of maybe rotating the formation to better suit the players that he has available to him, so that they don't get put in positions like a Sambi playing single back there in front of the back line, then you have to change your formation for it to work, right? And he won't. He at least for what I've seen, he doesn't do that.
But he'll do. You know what it's like. It's never solid on paper, right? You'll have a formation where it could be when we're in possession of the ball. It could be a formation where you'll see maybe a single pivot in that central defensive midfield area, whether that's Sambi, and you'll have 2 people ahead. When we lose the ball, then maybe it's the responsibility of one of those 2 ahead to come back now to sit next to Sambi, whether that be a Tielemans, whether that be a Xhaka. So you know what I mean? What I'm saying is we've got about 8 midfielders there.
Like I said,
I think we've got variety now. How many do you want? Only 3 can play.
I'm just telling you based on what I see, and I know you guys don't see it because you're saying that we could do fine with the 8 that we have. Partey's out. You see significant drop in performance, and that's because I don't think we rotate the players around to put them in positions to succeed. That's what I believe happens. So
if El Neni's in there, you don't see a significant drops in the performance. Check
for one game.
No, for a number of games.
And then he got always 100%. And then he would. It's just the way it is, So
True.
Junior.
I'm just tired, dude. I'm just getting sleep. Anyway, I think O'Mani gives 100% every time he goes on the pitch. And I think that he's not a bad backup to Partey. I think he has his faults as well, but I think he brings energy to the team when he's on the pitch. So it's quite a dilemma there.
I mean, ideally, he's a player that you're playing a Premier League game against somebody like Wolves or Brighton. You're doing well. You've got a midweek game coming up in Europe. You're winning 3-1. There's 10 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go. You're controlling it. You can take someone off in the midfield and you can put El Neni in and he'll close out the game.
Mm-hmm.
Rob Holding's very good at doing that as well. You can take someone out to give them a breather and then he'll go out and close out the game. And that's when you've got backup players which you can rely on. The problem that I've noticed is in pre-season, and I didn't see all of it, but what I did notice is that when those players that you can put in close-out games like that, and you don't see a drop-off, you can take someone out, give them the breather, you put in a holding, you put in an El Neni. They finish the game well. They don't fuck up. It's all good. But when you play those second-string team as one, you say, right, I'm giving everyone a breather now. I'm going to play. We're playing against fucking Accrington Stanley in the Caribou Cup. I'm giving everybody a rest, and I'm playing all the second string together. That's when you see the drop off.
And the problem with that, but the problem with that, and that's why I say either something has to change. Either we're bringing in players where you don't see that significant drop off, or you have to change your formation to suit the players. And when they when we played our backups I forgot which game it was, and they were just poor. Maybe it's because they can't play that style of play that you want. And if you're gonna keep them on the squad, then you have to, play a formation that's best for them. All right. And the same thing with switching up your formation when you're playing teams that are, much better than you, or higher up on the table and have a lot more of a threat than you. You kind of have to also thought what they do, but also put yourself in positions to, to counter if you need to. That's how you're going to play. So for me, like I said, it's what I see. I think we still need some support there, or we need better management of the squad when the time comes up.
Because what I noticed was in one of the games, he'd put out basically what you'd call a second string team, and they were struggling.
Yep.
Yeah. And as soon as he added quality to the team, you notice that the game changed. But if that's going to be a Europa League game, you can't afford to take that gamble. What are you going to do all the time? Fly out to fucking FC Carrierbag in the middle of fucking the Ukraine, not the Ukraine. I don't know. Sorry, the Ukraine. I know you got problems. Somewhere in the middle of nowhere, somewhere middle arse of nowhere, with your second string team. But you got to take your first string players anyway, because to get you out of jail. But then what happens if it's too late and you got to put them on and they ain't got enough time to get you out of jail? It's a gamble. That's the gamble. You need to have a second string team that you can get you something. And I just feel that you sprinkle a couple of them in the first team, it works. They come in, they close out games, happy days. But as a collective, I'm not so sure. They struggle, man, as a collective. And that's what I worry about.
Look, to Gary's point, last season we can only play 10 games with our recognized back five. And we were very, very good in those 10 games. But we suffered with the rest of the season because we didn't have fullbacks that could play full seasons. Look, Thomas Partey, this is mismanagement probably of our midfield resources. We haven't got players that are of the quality of a Thomas Partey.
And I worry about him up here as well. I don't want to talk about all that, but you've got to think, if it was you in police activity, questions, this, that, or the other, no matter what, you don't need that in your life. It affects you in your job. So you have to think of that side of it as well, Yeah.
A question from Jack, who's a Liverpool fan here. So great to see Jack. A lot of people probably can't sleep right now. Got those butterflies for the start of the season. Thoughts on Oba going to Chelsea? How's that going to go down?
Really? What's that? A rumor?
Yeah, that's the latest rumor.
Chelsea.
It's been going on for 2 or 3 days.
I'd love that to happen. I want that to happen because we know what will happen. He'll misfire. He'll go there. He'll say all the right things, right? It'll be all gums in his fucking press conference. Yeah, I love it here. All gums. Do you know what I mean? I've always wanted to play for Chelsea ever since I was a kid. Do you know what I mean?
You're so mean, Stan. Making fun of people.
First 3 games, man, he'll probably get a hat trick and get an assist and this, that, the other, and then it'll be off the end of a fucking cliff, mate. Do you know what I mean? All they're going to get out of him is fucking gold cars turning up in the car park and haircut. Listen, I've seen it. Good. I hope they sign him and I hope they pay him a fucking gazillion pound a week and he hemorrhages the club. Please do it.
Des says Arteta needs to bring on subs at the right time. That will make a difference. And this is going to be key to.
And I hope they sign Ozil as well.
Not so much bringing on subs at the right time, but picking the right formations and picking the right first 11 to start games. If we do this right, we can win. We can be winning 2 and 3-0 going into 60 and 70 minutes. And
but even if you're not, that doesn't mean you don't sub, because that's why you sub sometimes, because you need to switch things up. The players on the pitch, whatever you've implemented isn't working. Either you've tired them out with all the extra work they need to do, or you need some fresh legs. We see it happen to us so many times. But yeah, it hasn't clicked in sometimes when you look. I mean, Jota has come in and scored goal after goal coming off the bench, right? Emil Smith-Rowe came off the bench, scored goal after goal. So we've seen it on our side, and we see it a lot on the other sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's got to learn.
The only way that we really succeed this season is that he always tries to play his best 11, and when he can't, he has to do he has to sprinkle a couple of backup players in. He can't start playing a fucking full second string, because they're going to let us down.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
This is something that Jurgen Klopp is pretty good at doing, and Arteta's got to be good at that as well. Mixing the team, mixing the strength of the tea.
Blending.
Take the tea bag out. You got to mix it around a little bit with some good tea leaves and some weak water. Here, maybe a bad analogy, but
okay, we've got from fucking roller coasters to tea. Okay, it's okay.
He's
work in progress.
He's using the coffee pod twice just because
Tony's all or nothing.
Okay. Yeah. Tea, coffee. Let's let this one percolate for a bit. Then
Pretty
see where we go.
Yeah, let it percolate. I'm praying on his downfall. Joke player wasn't fit to wear the captain's armband. Yeah, Aubameyang. Look, and that's from the outside. You know what I mean?
Right, you're saying his name is a boomerang. Okay.
Of course.
We heard the stories before he came. I heard them, and I was like, "Oh, really? Could be trouble."
Yeah.
Didn't see any of it. It was all fucking gums. It was all gums, wasn't it? Lovely,
Stop
happy
talking
days.
about the man's gums,
Yeah.
man.
You know
Be
what I
nice
mean?
to the man.
But at the end of it, though, when he
Riley.
decided he didn't want to come to work, here's what I think the problem was with Aubameyang, right? And I don't want to retread ground, but I always think that at the time when we offered him the new improved contract, at that particular time, he'd already made his mind up that he felt that his time at Arsenal was done and he wanted to go somewhere else, ideally Barcelona, because he didn't jump to sign that contract. He dragged and dragged and dragged, but we were going through that kind of, I think it was like the early hits of COVID. People weren't going into stadiums, teams weren't fucking making big moves, and it was basically, okay, well, nothing else is coming in. I'm not going to be able to get the move, but I can get 350 bags a week with bonuses. Fuck it, I'll sign it. He signed it, and then when the world started to ease up a little bit, he didn't want to be there. He signed a contract, I think, that he never really wanted to sign, but he felt that he had no other option at that particular time. No one was making the move for him. He weren't going to get to a team that he wanted to go to, and I think he signed it reluctantly. And so we ended up with a player who wasn't fully invested in what we were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you saw it when he got to Barcelona.
Arsenal should have learned from that. When nobody wants your player, there's a reason for that. So you don't really have to raise your price and what you're going to pay him anyways, right?
But then they end up letting him walk away then for a pittance, right? So there's that gamble as well.
He still had a year left, right?
Interest.
He wasn't gone. He was going to play another year.
Yeah.
But we keep doing
that. But then what? Do you know what I mean? After that,
you know what? It would have been that big of a loss in hindsight. Now, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
But I mean,
of course.
So.
I say the same for Ozil.
Yeah.
We've done the panic button there, right? Because Sanchez was leaving, Ozil was at the same time. We couldn't let the two marquee players go at the same time, so we pulled out all the stops to keep Mesut Ozil, and look how it worked out.
Thunder Road said El Neni is a short-term solution to a long-term problem. Partey clone needs to be a priority next summer, and that's the situation. You can't spend all your money in one window, and you got a portion.
I'm sorry,
but you know what? But he's more important this season, not next summer.
What about fullbacks?
Mohamed El
I
Neni
just
is a
told you
squad player.
my most important squad player is whoever is going to replace Partey or take on that role of
I
a
tell you how
CDM
important El
or a
Neni is.
holding midfielder, whatever it is,
Above Jesus.
because that's punishing us.
More than
That's
Gabriel
punishing us.
Jesus.
It's gonna you take Partey out of the game and see how much Jesus does for us.
Okay.
Right? You tell me what's more. We keep saying the middle. We're missing that Vieira type player, right? We keep saying it all the time. When's the last time? When are we going to get a Vieira type player? And then we see what happens with our style when he's out of the game.
When this universe starts over
we're all still saying, you know what, we don't need a squad player behind him. But then when he's out of the game and we're struggling,
if we have that in midfield, then you're going to want something else up front.
We got to fix the middle. The middle's been a problem for at least 5 to 6 years.
You're the guy who spends $10 and then you wish you had another $2.
No, but I'm talking about I've been saying this forever. As soon as Partey went down the first time, that's going to hurt us. Second time, okay, I don't want a third. I don't want it to happen a third time. For me, you've already taken the hit twice now. Let's not do it a third time just to see if it's going to stick this time. No, just fix the problem. Get somebody behind him. We did that. We didn't like Leno. We went out and got a goalkeeper, right? Why would you do that?
A replacement for Partey. Let's fucking
no. You keep your mouth quiet, little man from Oklahoma. All right, don't be talking to me. Don't let me walk over there.
That's a long
Can
walk.
Tony talk a little bit tonight?
No, not
By the
today.
time you get there, the season will be over. But continue. For me, Mohamed El Neni, he's not a short-term solution. Mohamed El Neni is a squad player. I think he's invaluable. I still can't believe that he is still getting a little bit of resistance. When he was on loan in Turkey, I can remember, man, being either on Claude and the Banks.
You're getting resistance from a panel member.
And I was like, we should be bringing him back off of loan. And they were like, are you having a laugh, Stan? And he came back. And then when he did come back, after the loan had finished and proved that he was valuable, I've said it before, if he's only 75% of our best midfielder, you know that you'll get 75% every time. Rather than having a 100% player who will maybe say, I'm only going to give you 70% in this match because I'll get picked next match and I'll play better. He's invaluable to a team like Arsenal with where we are in the league, where we are in the real world, not where we think we are, but where we are, coming off of 8 for 2 seasons, just missing out on 4th. This is a player that's happy, doesn't rock the boat, can do things, can score goals as well. I honestly don't understand why Mohamed El Neni gets so much flack. He's a squad player. But the problem arises is when he has to play more than half of the season. And that's what you don't want. Same with Cedric. Same with maybe a couple of other people. Same with Holden as well. But if he's used in the right way, if he's used in the right way, at the end of the season when you win something, he will be worth getting his medal as well because he played his part.
Yeah. Every team has a player
it's
like
that. Look at the Enterprise and Star Trek, right? We all know who sits in the chair, who sits at the comm, Spock, all them people. But when they all go to bed, there must be another shift. Who else is, when they all go to bed at night, there must be other people sat at the controls. We never see them. They're still fucking making the ship fly, right? Do you know what I mean? You ever thought about that? When Kirk, Spock, fucking Chekhov, fucking Sulu, Uhura, when they all go to bed, there must be another shift that comes in and takes over and fucking keeps it bubbling on. Do you know what I mean? Just keeps it ticking over to the morning. Fair play to him.
Yeah. Scotty goes up there.
It's super hard.
Scotty's got to sleep. Scotty's got to sleep. Someone has to come into the engine room and fuck about with fiddle around with the dilithium crystals. There's got to be a B team.
All right. I think we should move on for a few minutes of talking.
I think we should.
I think we'll go through the Premier League preview, and then we'll finish up talking about the game at Selhurst Park. Is that fair, Tony?
I guess. I thought we were going to talk a little bit about the fucking game, but I guess we're going to talk very, very tiny about the game.
What are we going to spend our time doing now?
We'll
spend our time talking about fucking Thomas Partey.
Don't get riled up now, Gary.
The Thomas Partey show.
No, it's a Tony show.
Starring Gary.
I stopped talking. You guys leave me out of that.
Well, after a fucking hour and a half, you have to take a breath sometime.
I am not talking the whole time, so leave me alone.
Yeah, good shout as well. Just a shout there, why not? Yeah, Nichelle Nichols, who played Lieutenant Uhura in Star Trek, passed away this week.
That's right.
Yeah. Rest in peace. Liverpool aren't poor. Liverpool have bundles of cash. They chose to act like paupers. LFC turned of 500 million, turned over 500 million 2-year running with a low wage bill. You start winning things, you can make some money as well. And all of it wouldn't have been possible without Klopp. Not many Jurgens on the market. True. And it comes with smart investment. Like Jack said, smart spending here. And we hope that in the last
smart selling, smell and Coutinho for a fortune's what change them.
Yeah, absolutely. Before Klopp came in, we pissed millions away. And listen, the last 2 summers, hopefully we're on the way. Gary, I know you want this to be the last summer where we're selling players for a loss. Right?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. They need to. That's why they all need to go, because we're not going to get anything for them later anyways. Might as well just let them walk. We need players that are worth something, right? I mean, we have players that are worth a lot to teams, and they don't even want to pay for them still. So we need to get out of that business. So let's get. And we talk about all these other, talk about the Liverpools and whatnot. They don't. I don't think they're out there having to sell like 8 players, or 5 to 8 players every summer, So that's my thing there. So yeah, we need to. If they're not going to play, which is I don't mind if they stay, but you got to play them. If they're not going to play, they got to go. You make a choice. You know what I mean? If you're gonna, if Pepe stays, he's got to play. You have to figure out how to play him. He cannot sit ever again.
I went back and forth on this. I told you at the start of the summer, Pepe's likely going to stay with us.
Yeah, but he has to play, or else what's the point?
Yeah,
take the loss, right?
Take the loss. That we do have cup games. I think, Alonso, what do you see this summer? Outgoings have been pretty poor, and we have to change this, Alonso.
Yeah. Like I had said before, like way like a year ago, I think now, Arsenal don't value their players, so we don't push them out. We don't play them. We don't do anything to help promote them. You look at guys like Reece Nelson, you look at guys like Ainsley Maitland-Niles, look at guys like, now Murray, that they should have been gone a year ago, or at least last January. Case an example, Ainsley Maitland-Niles was wanted by Wolves. Yeah, Arteta didn't sell him, but yet he was on the bench. Eventually loaned him out to forget who it was. So we don't really do nothing with our players that don't play. So they're not out for sale, so to speak, until it's too late. And then you look at Reece Nelson, he had he had an okay year at Feyenoord, yet Feyenoord don't want him because they had concerns about his whatever it was. So they're there. It's just like we don't bother pushing them to be sold, I guess. So it's frustrating because what good are they doing on our team that they're not getting playing time, and or they're playing 23s or what have you. So as a fan, we need some funds as well to balance it out. So it's quite odd actually. Because there are players there that want to play, right? But they're not getting playing time. So what good is it to be on our team still? So again, it's frustrating.
More games, players will get minutes. It's really up to Arteta to give the right players the right amount of minutes. Jack said we will spend it on the right player though. Money is there. Nunes was there this year, and Diaz. We will address the midfield issues next year. Our midfield is getting very old, similar with City. That's my worry for Liverpool. I think they went all in on a Darwin Nunes. They spent a lot of money, and it looks like they don't have any money to address their midfield, who is a good midfield, but it's aging. You got some older players and you got some younger players in there for Liverpool. Well, let's start.
If Nunes does what they want for him, though, it'll hopefully relieve some of that pressure
That's a
on the
big if.
midfield,
That's
right?
like
So,
if
but that's
Jack
what
Grealish,
that's what
Jack
they're
Grealish,
no?
right? If Jack Grealish does for the City what they need, but City can write it off. Liverpool can't.
Well, no, I mean they lived with him they lived with it last
Liverpool
season,
can't
right?
do
And it
that,
didn't. No, Liverpool can't. But I mean, they can. They've got some younger players in there to hopefully make things a little bit easier for that midfield.
And Liverpool have been able to compete with City because they've made good choices in the transfer market, and they've been close to City for the last 5 or 6 years. Let's start with Liverpool, Gary. They're going to go to Fulham, newly promoted team. We're going to start talking about upset picks, but we'll quickly go through each game.
Hang on, how can we do an upset pick at the beginning of the season when the league, right? Because remember how we do
where
it.
they finished last year, Stan.
All the league is on 0.
They're
So how can you do
where they
it?
finished
Surely
last
you
year.
can't do an upset pick until the second week. When
Not
points
in
are on the
my
board.
world.
We're doing
Okay.
based off of where we finished.
Not in your It's all gone a bit Jeff Jarrett. Fair enough.
All right, so 1 through 17 is based off of last season's finishing place.
So how am I supposed to find that now? I've got to Google it.
I sent you a picture.
Yeah. He
that's
sends you.
all that-
He sends you the information. If you don't read it, that's not his fault.
I just got a bit of paper sent to me by phone, all scribbled on. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was like plans to take over the world. I didn't know what it was.
Go take a look at it
I
then,
thought it was just
buddy.
like raised thoughts.
That's
late
what
at
it
night.
was.
Okay.
I will say, if any of you want to participate in the comments box, I'll tell you what the parameters are. It has to be a lower place team up against. You have to pick the lower place team up against a higher place team, and if that upset wins, you get all of the place differences. So let's say
You've lost them.
20th place 10th, you get 10 points. If it's draw, you get half the points. It's 5. It's quite easy. But let us drop it in the comments if you have a pick. Yeah, something like that.
That's what that was.
So for those wanting to know, Liverpool's 2, Fulham's 18. So you get 16 points.
Yeah. And it's based off of the top 3 in the EPL championship that have been promoted. So Fulham are 18th because they won the championship. Nottingham Forest are 20th because they came in via the playoffs, and Bournemouth are 19th. Okay? And it will settle in so now you have an opportunity, Stan. You have an opportunity here to make some points early doors because,
What do points make? Prizes.
Yeah. So, Gary, what do you see with Liverpool going to Fulham?
Yeah, Liverpool wins this one easily. Next.
Tony?
Next.
Okay. Well, you can put some scores down if you want as well. Alonso.
Where is it at? Sorry, where is it at?
4-1. It's at Fulham.
It's at Craven Cottage.
3-0.
Liverpool.
3-0.
There will be a Kahoot based off of.
Well, hold on a minute. Again, if you're forgetting that Bernd Leno's going to be in goal, right? So, do you know what I mean?
4-1.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
He's got nothing in front of him.
Tony's gone from 3-0 to 4-1 now. So they got another one because Bernd Leno's in goal.
Alonso, what do you think? Fulham and Liverpool. Pretty easy for Liverpool, right?
I'll say 3-1 Liverpool.
Okay. Next one up I have is Everton.
You're gonna let Stan give it a say?
Yeah. Don't worry about me. It's all right.
You know the chess match where you stop the clock?
Yeah.
Your clock looks pretty good right now.
Don't worry, Ray hasn't forgotten me with 2 fucking
You've had a
times
lot
to
of
go
game
before we
time,
get through
Stan.
the
Fucking time.
No,
Fulham versus Liverpool, Stan.
Got to be. I think I don't know too much about Fulham, other than Bernd Leno. Did they win? Did they win the championship? Did they win the playoffs? What's their deal?
Fulham
They did
won it.
win. Oh, they won it. Okay.
And who's
Ray
their
just said
manager?
it 2
Who's their
minutes ago.
manager?
Pay attention.
All right, Tony, relax, Tony.
Who's their manager? Is it still Edward the Sixth? Scott Parker.
It could be Scott Parker. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're
okay.
going to know about Fulham.
All right.
Through Bernd Leno.
I might park that as an upset.
Think about it. Okay, Stan. Everton at home to Chelsea.
Everton at home to Chelsea. Chelsea have, they've got this new the new owner in and all that, but they have a problem, don't they? With what's that then?
Tony.
It's me out the board.
Tony's getting the all or nothing treatment from John. Gary's jealous. Gary's like, "Why can't that be me? I want it to be Arteta."
Who did you say they're playing?
Liverpool, Fulham. Come on, pick one.
Chelsea.
Everton, Chelsea.
Everton, Chelsea. At Everton.
Yes.
I'm going to go for it. Maybe that might be my upset. Maybe I'll park that one because I think that Chelsea, they're going through a little bit of disarray. All that Lukaku bollocks. They don't really have a proper forward. Is it still going to be Havertz? They've got rid of some of their centre backs. People are coming in. They're getting gazumped. They're trying to bed people in. Maybe that'll be my upset.
Right.
To be honest.
Maybe
that'll be my upset.
BX Gunner here, Jack.
Because it's about upset. It's about upsets, right?
We're
not going for like who's going to win. We're going for an actual upset, and I think maybe this will be my upset. All right, Tony. I think this will be my upset.
Jack, your opposition's dressing room looks ancient. LOL. Watching All or Nothing, I thought Arsenal were back in the 60s. The situation there, BX, is you don't want to give the opposing team nice digs to hang out in. So you don't make it comfortable for the away team. Arsenal maybe make it comfortable for the away team, but you're generally not supposed to do that.
But Everton were shit pre-season, weren't they? They were fucking rubbish, man.
Yeah. Gary, you see anything with Everton, Chelsea? Other than the Chelsea
Everton
win?
Loses.
All right.
I mean, as bad as Chelsea is, they have Sterling. He's going to get at least 20 chances to score.
Very nonchalant, Gary.
Yeah. So
Sterling will get a debut.
He's not giving any semblance to fucking Everton at all, is he?
No. And they get nothing.
No respect. No respect for Frank.
Yeah.
And everything.
Fat Frank notwithstanding.
So you see, you give him that name and you expect some respect on the pitch? Come on.
Tony, what have you got?
Fat Frank loses at home.
Alonso?
I'd say a draw, a 2-2 draw.
Nice.
That'll be your upset pick?
No, a draw, Tony.
That'll be your upset pick?
He said a draw, Tony.
It still gets him 6.5 points.
Moving on, Alonso. Bournemouth at home.
Sorry, I told Lays that I'd get it in. They pay me like $10 a podcast.
Bournemouth at home to Aston Villa. Lays. Your supply. Lifetime supply.
I'll say Aston Villa, right? I say 3-1.
Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Stan. New boys coming up.
Who is it? Bournemouth, Aston Villa.
Bournemouth, Aston Villa.
I don't like Aston Villa anymore. They used to be one of them teams that I had nothing, no problem with. But after all that ESR bollocks and all that fucking Emi Martinez bollocks, they're a team that I'm always like, I always want them to get their asses kicked. So I really hope Bournemouth, they come up and they stamp. Again, I don't know nothing about Bournemouth. I don't know who manages them. Who manages them? Do you know? Is it Edward VII? I don't know.
I should have done. I didn't know you were going to ask me these questions. I should have done my homework.
Did they win the playoffs then? I imagine then.
Eddie Howe the second.
There you go, Eddie Howe the second. I hope Bournemouth kick Aston Villa's asses. I just don't like them anymore. Wankers.
Gary,
Aston Villa.
Can you do that in a Gunter Steiner accent, Dan?
What?
Finish chance, right?
Can you do that in a Gunter Steiner?
I don't know what that means.
Fucking wankers. Fucking wankers.
Drive to Survive, Gary.
We're never going to even talk about this game that
one
we're
week
playing
we'll
tomorrow.
Rockstar, the next year fucking
we are. We're getting
We haven't even got through like 3 games. Come on, dude.
Gary, you took your time first hour.
Well, stop that.
First fucking hour and a half.
You were enjoying it. Now you're complaining.
Tony, what did Gary do, Tony? Tony, tell Gary what he did for the first hour and a half.
Fucking talk nonstop.
I did not.
What the fuck is that in your head, Tony?
Exactly.
What is it?
Tony, we turn, Tony. You say 5 words.
Oh, it's the Russian hat.
It's like 100 degrees, and this guy's wearing his
wool hat.
Yeah, exactly. That burn up his brain. What little is left in there.
Let's move it along quickly then. Gary, Aston Villa.
Fucking Peter Sellers at the party.
Draw. Bournemouth's going to get a point. The first relegation team to get a
And in
point.
the documentary, they talked about Ollie Watkins sparking up the team for it. All right, I'm going to move quick then, Tony. We're going to go to the next game. I'm not going to even ask you about Bournemouth, Aston Villa.
Oh, fuck you.
Newcastle.
Oh, Jesus, Tony.
Newcastle home to Nottingham Forest. Gary has decided he wants to talk about
Newcastle 3-1. Move on. Next.
End of.
Alonso.
Tottenham,
Southampton.
Southampton 5-0.
Nice.
Upset. That's not upset.
Wow, I like that upset.
For real?
Yeah,
that's a good one. I like that one. All right, put Alonso down for that one. Stan.
Yes, sir.
Leeds United at home to Wolves.
Hello there.
Ooh, Leeds United at home to Wolves, man. I can see that one being a bit of a stalemate. You know?
Yeah.
Kind of cancel each other out, maybe a little bit there. Leicester seem to be in a bit of the shit though. They've just lost Peter Schmeichel, haven't they? Yeah, lost the keeper. So I don't know what's happening.
Wolves.
I thought you said I thought you said Leicester Wolves.
Leeds.
Leeds Wolves. Oh well, Wolves then, isn't it?
I've gone for Leeds for the
Sorry,
upset.
Mr. Tom.
I'm picking Leeds for the upset.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sam picked them earlier as well. Tony?
Ted Lasso for upset.
Who?
Poor old Jesse Marsh. Alonso?
Going for Wolves.
You're going for Wolves. Okay, everyone wants to participate now. Gary, Leicester versus
could be the upset though. Could be the upset though. It's a good pick for the upset. I'm parking that one as well. Leicester
versus Brentford. Stan has a lot of Lamborghinis parked.
That's my upset pick. So Brentford.
Yeah, you went for Brentford. Okay, that's a good shot. Leicester have a lot of players maybe leaving. Madison.
Yeah, I don't think they have any. I don't think they have any coming in, right?
1 million for Schmeichel. Chelsea won Fofana. What's going on in Leicester? I don't know.
What's happening with Vardy there as well? Is Vardy still there or what?
Yeah, he's still there. Wolves 2-1.
Could be another good dark horse for I'm parking that and all. A lot of parking, big parking area I've got. Multi-story.
Guess what? Look, Andre took your spot. Cedric took your spot.
Yeah.
1-1 draw.
Could have been worse. Could have been Xhaka in a smart car.
Man United, Brighton, Tony. There was some fun in this fixture last season. Man United were beaten 5-1, I think, by Brighton.
Ragged as well, didn't they?
5-1 this time. United won.
Ragged, didn't they, though, Man United?
Yeah.
United went at home.
And listen, quickly, West Ham at home to City. That's got potential, Gary.
Who's this?
West Ham at home to
Was that
City.
Gary?
He's
Gary
back in the
Gary
game.
made a strange noise. He went.
It just. My dog just made the same fucking noise. Gary
West Ham at home to City.
Yeah, West Ham loses.
Okay.
2-1.
I think this was a 2-2 game, Alonso, last season.
Desmond 2-2.
Yes, 2-2.
Right. So I think it's been a draw. I think West Ham are a good, decent team. Let's see what happens. I think it's been a good draw.
Mr. Bongo.
What a
Apply for a
splash!
splash.
Okay, I thought you said it was for a splash. I was like, dude, sit down,
Right.
man.
It's crazy, man, because I usually don't listen to stuff on my phone unless I'm having a poo. So fair play.
That's just
All right,
not
and
what
as you
I
can
mean.
see, last season myself and Stan ran Sam close. Sam,
I started late as well, right? Remember, I didn't come into that shit from the
Ray
beginning.
fucked me out
So
about 25 points.
you know, I came in late. Do you remember?
yeah. Sorry, I didn't hear you, Tony.
Good.
Ray fucked me out of 25 points.
Oh, stop
Hey.
that nonsense. Stop
How many
that
seasons
nonsense.
is he gonna do this?
Tony,
How
I
many
started
seasons have you
late. I
lost?
should have won that shit.
How many seasons have you lost points, Tony?
Isn't it? It's always a steward's inquiry with Tony. Isn't it? Always.
Sellers Park.
He's in that fucking, what's that caravan at the VAR place? Where is it? Stockley Park. With his fucking microscopes and grids.
VAR. Yeah. All right. Listen, we'll get to the Selhurst Park game, right? For a few minutes. Gary, you want to start us off with
We might not finish as Gary starts off.
huh?
You talk,
We
Tony.
might not finish as Gary.
You talk, Tony.
Well,
Then
He was eager to talk about the game, so
go ahead, Tony. You talk. I don't want to take up all your time.
Tony would say 5 words and then just won't say nothing.
So that's why I want him to speak. Go ahead.
Okay, he's going to Gary first.
Oh, come on. No, go ahead, Tony.
You don't want me to speak, so you speak.
Go ahead, Gary.
I don't know what weird dynamic you two are having, but
I don't know. He doesn't want me to speak, but
I don't know. Someone's handing someone divorce papers in the morning. That's all I know. You know what I'm saying? Restraining order at the least. And I think it'd be Gary because Gary said he's walking there.
I think Conor Gallagher is going to be missed. I think they're downplaying it a little bit, but I think they're definitely going to miss him.
Is he injured?
He just doesn't play for them. He plays for his Chelsea.
Chelsea, yeah.
Yeah, so he's not injured now. Well, I don't think he's injured, but it doesn't really matter. He doesn't play for Crystal Palace anymore. So I think that's going to be a problem for them. I think Wilfred Zaha might give Ben White a bit of a problem, but hopefully we can put a little bit more pressure on them so it doesn't really matter. But no, you look at their squad.
Do we see the debut of Saliba?
We should. What? If we don't, then what was this all about?
I'm asking for a friend.
Why? He's playing the same 11 who started the last 2 games.
Out, so Ben White,
Vincent Jr.
right back, Saliba center back. There you go.
Let's start with the same 11 we had before.
Vincent Jr.
Tony, is there any GFFN links to Saliba in the last few hours? Is he getting sold?
Vincent Jr. He's a
Transfer
winger for Brazil.
Right.
Yeah, listen, Patrick Vieira has put
Vincent
together
Jr.
Vinicius Jr.
Yeah, he's a winger for Brazil. I just remember that the window open at Brazil squads. So.
Yeah, but there's not many strikers. To Gary's point, Gabriel Jesus is the only recognized striker that I can think of. Richarlison?
Yeah. Yeah, nice one.
He is Brazilian. Rodrigo? He's Brazilian, right?
Yeah. Anyway.
Talk to me about Crystal Palace and Arsenal, Stan.
Selhurst Park. South London. All standing when I went. Do you know what I mean? Grab a little place when I went there last. But they turned us over, didn't they? So this is like one of them ones where you think, well, you turned us over twice, right?
And down through the years.
Do you know what I mean?
History.
What we done to Wolves, because we broke Wolves, man, they kind of done that to us. Do you know what I mean? A little bit. So you need to get that revenge. And we are at a different beast now going into this. I mean, I've not really had a look, but have they made any decent additions? Have they lost any key players? Palace, are they weaker? Huh? They've added him. Sorry, I thought it was clearing your throat there.
Tried to pay attention, Bond. Conor Gallagher.
Sorry, I thought he was clearing your throat. Conor Gallagher. But I mean, I mean, do you remember when we were all talking about? It was about a year ago. We were talking about Odesson Edouard. He's done all right for him, but he's not been lethal. So I don't see why we can't go there and get a result.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I mean get a result, I'm talking about a win, not a draw.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel quite confident, quite comfortable. We asked at the start of the podcast how we're feeling. So I think I remember Tony saying he was quite nervous about tomorrow. I feel comfortable about it because Mateta, why not?
Said nervous about the season, right? Nervous about the season.
Okay.
I'd go as far as saying 2-0.
Mateta up against Gabriel, or if it's a Saliba or Ben White, I feel more comfortable with that. Tavares and Gabriel was the combination that broke down in the last game.
Yeah, I think Elise isn't playing. He's got an injured foot.
And they've had a bad preseason. Not that means anything. Preseason doesn't mean anything at all.
Yeah, I listened to like I said, I listened to a fan from Crystal Palace talking about their preseason, and I don't think their preseason was set up so that all 11 players would be one playing together. So I have a feeling that you're not going to see exactly what what you saw in the preseason, because it sounded like they were doing some kind of split squad type thing. So yeah, I mean, whatever. Patrick probably knows what he's doing to that degree. So when they probably play together, it probably might look a little bit better than what people have seen in the preseason.
You're confident. You said Patrick knows what he's doing in that respect.
Yeah.
But if Arteta did something like this, you wouldn't say that, right?
If he had been coaching for like a decade plus, yeah, I would say probably, yeah.
What gives you confidence, though, to say Patrick Vieira is doing the right thing?
He's been coaching for a lot longer, so he's probably knows all the positive and negative. He's played because he coached in New York, right? He coached over in Europe, and then he's been coaching now here. So I think maybe probably up to 10 years of coaching, since he left.
Yeah, but there's also, there is an argument, yes, you might have experience, but then again, you may, what about methods?
Maybe we just talked about getting run over by the team last season.
Roy Hodgson is a manager that has a lot of years ahead of, experience, but are his methods, 2022 methods? Does he have methods that can cope?
We lost 3-0 to them last game. So either that was
devil's advocate for the viewers, Gary. Do you know what I mean?
Was that Arteta or was that
Gary,
Vieira?
No, you're right about everything.
I'm just saying. I only know that they've had a very difficult preseason.
I'll throw it in there a little bit.
For you to say that Vieira may be doing the right thing by splitting, because I don't know. And then
I'm telling you how their fans are about the preseason. All right, you don't like what I have to say, but it's nothing to do. He's the messenger, and I said maybe he knows what he's doing. He's been doing this for a while now.
Okay.
However far Mikel Arteta goes, right, at some point he's going to leave us or be sacked. That's what happens to managers. He'll either leave us for greener pastures, or he's going to get sacked. But you'd have to say that when that time comes, who is the person that you would say would be right in the frame? It's Patrick Vieira. And that's going to, depending on how he does with what he's doing, of what he's got. But he's got to be an heir apparent at some time because of his links to the club. So, every time we play Crystal Palace, it just gives it that little bit of spice, what Patrick Vieira is like. He's competitive. He doesn't just look at it as another fixture on the calendar. He keeps his eye out for Arsenal. He knows what it means. He knows that he's probably auditioning for something that could be happening in 5 years' time. You never know, right? So it's a spicy one. He's going to get a round of applause when he comes out, and rightly so. Mikel Arteta has to live with that.
Yeah, of course. And I think he's As I said last year, he's taken the perfect job in London. He's very close to Arsenal now. If a vacancy comes up in the next year or two,
he won't have to move out, will he?
He's well positioned. Tony thinks he won't get the position, but
he hasn't been offered it the other 2 times. So.
I know, but
now he's up close and personal in the Premier League. He's not far away. You know, he's being seen now every week, and he's either going to do really well at Palace, or at some point they're going to fuck him off because he's not any good. You know, he's under the microscope. If he's still in charge of Palace by the time Mikel Arteta goes, then that means he's got to be in contention, because that means he's doing a good job, right? If we say, like, let's say in 5 years' time, this is the question now. 5 years from now, Mikel Arteta does well, he gets another contract extension, backed on being good results. Let's say 5 years. If Mikel Arteta Patrick Vieira is still at Palace, that means he's done a good job and he's got to be right in the frame. Otherwise, he'd be somewhere else because they'll have to get rid of him, right? So,
yeah, I think he has done a good job last season. 12th place with a young team. He's turned over a lot of older players. He brought a new young team in, and 48 points. It's about 3 or 4 points.
Or unless within 5 years he does so well, he gets snapped up and he goes somewhere before Arsenal because someone else snaps him up. He's doing so well.
Yep. And it's all about timing. You know, the manager has to be ready to accept a vacancy, and those 2 things have to coincide at the right time. Trophies as a player do not necessarily translate as trophies as a manager. Let's be sensible. Winning is the game. Winning league titles is the aim. By that logic, you would say Arteta may be the more successful manager then. Why not? Of the 2.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Because did Pep win lots of trophies as a player?
No, but we're talking about Vieira and.
I'm just saying we're talking about some of the best managers in the world.
So far,
did they win as a player? And you're saying no.
If you've got Vieira and Arteta on a board, and you've got like a column, and you're keeping a score, well, so far Arteta's ahead, right? He's won, arguably for me, one of the most prestigious trophies that there is to win, and that's the FA Cup. And you have to remember, right, we have this luxury of being Arsenal supporters. We support a team that has the record of FA Cup wins. We support a team that has a gold Premier League trophy because of going invincible.
Won 20 FA Cup games in a row.
There's other. What I'm saying is, like, there's other people out there. Right? There's other people out there that are much older than me that support a team, and they're probably in their late 70s, who have supported that team all their lives and never even seen them win the League Cup. Do you know what I'm saying? They've never seen their team at Wembley lift the cup. They may have seen their team be in the Premier League and maybe win against some good teams, but they've never had any glory. Maybe seen their team bounce down into the Championship, come up again, beat a Chelsea. You know? So we have it good.
Be happy with our FA Cup.
We have it good, and you have to say that Mikel Arteta has an FA Cup under his belt.
But that spoils the narrative, Stan.
Well, yeah, depends on who the narrative's for, but he does have an FA Cup under his belt, man.
Yeah, it's undeniable.
Vieira almost got one with a bunch of nobodies.
He played Chelsea in the final. They played Chelsea in the final.
A lot of other managers that have been in the game a lot longer than him that don't have that. They don't have it. Does Roy Hodgson have an FA Cup? I don't know. Maybe he does.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, you go.
Look, we're in an era where
Roy, if you're watching, I'm not bagging on you, Roy. I love you.
In the league, I don't know. The people solely take the league as a measure of the club, your league finish, because we've been behind that team for 5 or 6 years. Yet we've won a few trophies in that time.
That's the bitter pill. The bitter pill for me is that you've just said that. When was the last time that we were able to celebrate St. Totteringham's Day? That's a day that's been created where Arsenal banish Tottenham from getting to where they want to get to. We haven't been able to do that. For the last 5 years, Tottenham have been better than us.
It's been longer than that.
And that hurts the most. That hurts the most. So that needs to be sorted out. Our rivals are doing better than us, and that is painful.
Yeah, and listen, we can content ourselves by saying they haven't won a trophy with their best, some of their best players, probably in their history. Whiteout said, "Proven winners, proven managers only: Conte, Allegri, Zidane, Carlo, etc."
We've
Anyway,
still won the FA Cups in when they've been doing well, but if you're looking about your bread and butter in the league, they've been able to get themselves in positions to have bites at the apple, to get themselves to Champions League finals. They blew it, but they managed to get themselves there. You know, we're trailing, and that needs to be rectified. We need that spotlight because that gets you more investment, it gives you more merchandising, it just gives you more prestige. You know, there's only so long that we can live off of past glories.
yeah,
It's only so long it happens. Look at Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest are a team that have got, you know, two European championship, 2 European cups under their belt, but they've been out of the big time now for ages,
now
and now they've just managed to scrape their way back in.
now that you're talking about, that FA Cup win in 2020, do you think that the team we have now is better than that team
Yeah,
that won the FA Cup?
yeah, I do. You
I
know,
do too.
we seem to
I do
have
as well.
we seem to have players that are more invested. We won that with players that didn't seem actually fully invested in what we were doing.
John finally found Gary tonight.
And we also won that FA Cup during unprecedented times in football with what was happening in the country because of the pandemic and all that stuff. So even more kudos to Mikel Arteta that he managed to squeeze that cup out of that team. Imagine what he should be able to do now with a team that's now been molded in his image. He basically took over from Unai Emery, right? He picked up the slack. Like we done something that was unprecedented. We changed generals mid-battle. We changed horses midstream. You don't usually do that, whether it's football managers or presidents. You usually go with what you've got. We took a big gamble there and it paid off. Got us a trophy.
If you look at the last game under Unai Emery, I think was that Manchester City game. We lost 3-0. Arteta was in the other dugout, and we go to New Year's Day of this year, and that performance against a similar Manchester City team, it's night and day. You know. So we've come a long way in a couple of years, but the FA Cup notwithstanding, we have to now go again because there has been.
Have we came a long way, Ray?
Huh?
Have we come a long way? We still haven't finished with more points than we had with Wenger or Emery.
We are back to where we were circa 2016, 2017.
Could you imagine if Aubameyang had really been up for the cause and Lacazette had been able to give us a little bit more? Just look at how much we missed out on with the Champions League, and I'm just talking about the points table. Look what we missed out on it by. And I just think that had we maybe had a Lacazette and Aubameyang doing a little bit more, that's what we missed out on, was experience. And next season, we've replaced that with Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko, who come in with medals in their equal right. And we named, remember when we talk about midfielders and I said there were 8, we got variety. I didn't even name Zinchenko. That gives us 9. He can play in the midfield as well. And I think that bringing in a player like Zinchenko and Jesus from a team like Manchester City, it's not like we're getting their cast-offs. It's not like this isn't a Willian situation or a David Luiz situation. We're bringing in successful players that are now past their prime. They've been there and done that, but they want the old fucking monocled fucking dressing gown and fluffy slippers and sit by the jacuzzi. These two have done it, and they've got more in the tank. They're coming to offer something. And I think that's going to help us. That's going to give us a little bit more juice. Yeah. There's times when players will be looking around and thinking, what do we do now? Hopefully they'll be able to get us over the line in some games where we missed that.
We have also gone, Tony, from taking Chelsea's old cast-offs and rejects to picking up a couple of City players who have been there, done that, won things, a lot younger and coming into their prime. And in Gabriel Jesus, I think there's going to be a big season from him. He's got a lot to prove going into the Premier League.
Just hopefully he can stay healthy.
And look, injuries are going to be a part of everybody's season. It's going to be more like 2 sprints, Gary, rather than 1 marathon this season.
Yeah. Well, what do you for
our season?
World Cup in the middle.
Come on, catch up to us.
Yeah.
He's just thinking about Thomas Partey. That's all he can think about tonight.
Can I just quickly say, if you want to,
I didn't even bring him up. Let me speak, Tony. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. You know what? We're gonna get in and out pretty quickly, right? Basically, once the international games pick up, it's like 2 months, and then boom, they're out, right? So yeah, we need to take advantage of that. Like that's why these first 10 games, we could, if we do it right, we can win them all, and that'll set us up pretty good going into the international part of the season when we're playing midweek games consistently. Or I think like 8 games in 2 months. So yeah, and then we'll find out if our squad can hold up under that kind of setup, right? Especially, hopefully we get a cheap. Hopefully get a. Shut up. Take that off there.
Say anything.
I know. Tell Tony. Shut up, Tony. What the? He's changing his hats every other hour.
Irreconcilable differences, Stan.
Yeah.
Can I just say, right? If you want to get a good take on Gabriel Jesus, just before he joined Arsenal, he done a video still in his Man City shirt saying goodbye, and I saw that video, and it was just before he'd done the Arsenal one, right? And you go and look in the comments, and in the comments, it's all the comments from Man City people, Man City supporters, right? There is no one in there going, yeah, fuck you, you mercenary, glad you're leaving. There's nothing like that. You want to see the comments in there. They love that guy. They all talk about his hard work, his commitment, how sorry they are to see him leave, that they wish that there was a way that they could still have him somehow in the team. He was revered at Man City. We're not getting a Willian. We're not getting a Silvestre. We're not buying a player that's coming from a winning team that's been there and done it, but is now surplus to requirements.
Yeah.
If Pep could have found a way to keep him in the team and talked him into it, they would have offered him a contract. But Jesus made it known that he felt that it was time for him to have a different challenge, and then it's an indictment that you look at the amount of quality of players that they have at Man City in their biggest games when it mattered most. Pep always found a way to get Zinchenko and Gabriel into the team and into the game somehow. He relied on them. He trusted them
against Liverpool. Yeah.
So you won't see that maybe with a player like Nicola Pepe.
Watching this documentary, All or Nothing, I did like a lot of stuff that was in there. Okay, the emotional stuff, all of the inspirational dressing room stuff, but this thing I did not like. Playing Anfield music on our pitches. I didn't like that. Play blanket noise. Don't give in and say we agree Liverpool going to Liverpool is intimidating. You don't give your opposition that psychological edge.
What did you think about when he told this story about? Because he told this story about that his hardest game that he had was at Anfield, where he basically got to a stage in the game where he just saw red shirts everywhere, and he didn't know what to do, and he basically hid. And he said to the players, "I don't want you to do that." What did you make of that and that setting up the speakers and playing Walk On. I mean, we play West Ham. What's he going to do next? Play I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles?
If you're trying to infuse your players and try to get them hyped up to the game and actually give them some hope that they're going to win, the last thing you want to talk about is how you lost. I think he actually talked about losing 5-1 or something like that, and I'm like, wait a second, you're going into a really, really hostile environment, and you're going to bring up a 5-1 loss. Who does that? You don't do.
What was the last thing he said, Gary? What was the last thing he said?
You don't hear the last thing because he's talking about losing.
You heard it.
No, he's talking about for 20 minutes losing to this team, and you're talking about the last 30 seconds as you walk out the door.
He's talking about regrets, Gary. He's
not before I go into a big game. I don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that if you're a player going into a game about all the negatives. All the negatives.
No, I disagree.
You guys are kidding me, right?
This is a guy.
Have you played sports before?
Hold on. Cool your jets.
I got one question.
Hold on.
Whoa.
Gary,
close your eyes, drop your hands.
What is your tag on Twitter? Don't waste that trip, right?
Yeah, but I'm not talking about all the negative things that happened to me going into a big game. I don't talk about that stuff.
Arteta basically was saying, don't waste the trip. Don't have regrets.
I don't want to hear about all the negatives, though. I don't want to hear about all the negatives.
You do. That's what you said. Don't waste the trip.
I just said I'm going into a game. I'm talking about living my life and talking about going into a game where you're talking about the last time I played this team, I lost 5-1. Are you serious?
What was the last thing he said, Gary?
I don't care. He already talked about losing for like 20 minutes. For 20 minutes, he talked about losing.
So Gary,
and then for like 30 seconds on the way out the door, let's go out and beat these guys.
Gary, you're exaggerating. It wasn't 20 minutes.
Gary, you heard what you wanted to hear. The play, you can't speak for the players. This
is a manager, right? That as it wasn't so long ago that he was playing for that team.
That's
he wasn't, and he's trying to connect to them from when he was a player. And it's not like he's again. I keep picking. It sounds like I'm picking on Roy Hodgson. I'm not Roy. I'm not Roy. Roy, I love you. But this is a guy that very recently had the shirt on and was in their position, and he's basically saying, "I let this overwhelm me," and he basically said, didn't he? He said it's haunted him. It's haunted him for his career. The one time it happened to him was at this place, and the one time he let it happen, he wasn't able to let it go. It became a problem for him. It haunted him. And he's saying to these are young players, remember? It's the youngest squad in the Premier League. He's basically saying, I used to smoke when I was 17. It fucked me up. I was fucked when I was 29. Don't smoke. He's imparting knowledge. Don't go wrong where I went wrong. Don't drink and drive like I did that time and rolled the car. He's able to speak to them and say, it wasn't so long ago that I was in your position. And this is what happened to me. And because I did that and I decided that it was too much, and rather than work hard, I hid, it haunted me because I can't go back now and change it. Don't let that happen to you. What I got from it.
Literally what he's saying is don't waste the trip, Gary.
No, that's not what I heard.
That's what
you can tell me everything you just said, but he talked about losing.
You should tell timeshare. I'd buy 2 weeks from Ray now.
No.
2 weeks. Where do I sign?
You guys, you never go into a game talking about how I lost and all of this stuff. No, you're not going to get me on that. Not in this one. Nobody talks about going into a game that way. You talking about rallying up the squad, so let's talk about how I lost. No, you don't do that.
Gary, tap out.
You know what? Here we go. We're going into our biggest. Gary. No. Gary's not losing this one. Are you serious? There's nobody in that chat that believes that losing 5-1 is going to push my team ahead. Ask them.
Who ends tomorrow?
Gary,
nobody's talking about that.
You didn't get led into that. You willingly walked right into it.
No, I didn't lose. You guys didn't lose. Just because you're talking over me doesn't mean you win.
That's like me getting a sex. That's like me getting a sex change and still calling myself Stan the Man.
I don't. Whatever you want to do, man. Whatever is up. Whatever you're into, man. Do what you do, man.
You have your supporters out there, Gary. Ray, there's no way you can justify a negative statement where a positive attitude would have been a better thing to do. A terrible selection of words. Arteta. So you can't tell a story about your regrets in your career?
Not when we're trying to win a stupid game. I'm trying to win this game today, not talk about when I lost yesterday. Come on. If you're going into your biggest sale, do you talk about the big sale you lost the other day? You don't. Come on, people.
It's called learning by mistakes, right?
No, I don't want to learn about it right before I'm supposed to go on the pitch and execute the plan.
This is literally your Twitter.
You do that all in practice. You do that all in practice, not before you step on the pitch.
Don't waste the trip.
That's why I tell you all the time that a lot of these things you do on the pitch. I'm sorry, you do at practice. When you're about to get ready to step on the pitch, you don't want to hear about all the negative things that can happen to you. You've already worked all that stuff out, and you have answers.
The final sentence was, "Don't let this happen to you."
I don't know. They heard all the other crap that he talked about.
You heard all the other crap.
No, everybody heard it. They all heard it because they were listening to him. If you thought they heard the last
this is where like Mikel Arteta is having a meeting with the coach again. So you know that Gary bloke we signed.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, man.
No, you guys are.
I'm not sure. He's not buying. He's not buying in. He's not buying in
here.
Josh Kroenke is listening to the Arsenal podcast. So that DWTT guy.
Yeah, man.
There's a Gary.
He's like, you know what? That Gary guy is wasting his trip, mate. He's
No.
wasting that trip.
You guys don't know what that means. If that's what you think I mean by it, I'm sorry, but you got it all wrong. You got it all wrong.
Taking in the scenery around him at all.
You're missing it. You're missing the point. I'm very sorry. Yeah. Let's go into this game. We'll talk about how I lost it. When you go into you're playing Bayern Munich, so let's talk about when we lost 7-1 to them on aggregate. No, you don't talk about that. Come on, stop it.
So in order to send the positive,
let's now dig up our biggest transgressions. I mean, what's next? When we lost the European Cup final.
You don't bring it up before you bring that up before you go in and play another European final.
I mean, it's not. It's not what you say; it's how you say it. There has to be. Look, you can't wrap these players in cotton wool. There was a time, right, when apprentices would fucking get players' boots and have to clean them. It's so different now. It is so different how young players are treated. You can't shout at them. You can't do a John Sitton and how it used to be, right? And I'm sorry, right, but you players have to know how it is. And Mikel Arteta, I'm sorry, man. When I first heard what he was saying, Gary, and I was like, where's he going with this? But he was big enough to say, like, even me, who has been out there and won FA Cups, won leagues with Celtic, who's been there and done it, played for his country, that one time when it overwhelmed him was at this place. And rather than try and do anything about it, he just let himself get overrun.
How did we play in that game? How did we play in that game? No, just...
Yeah, but he can't keep the ball for them.
Hold on, you can't 1 minute tell me, oh, he made this really...
fucking say.
No, let me speak.
You can't say
the last thing you said before going out on the pitches. Don't let this happen to you. And then what happened after they scored?
But he also said, I believe that we can beat him. And he tapped on the board. I believe that you can. He said to me, I believe that you can beat.
I didn't like the way he said that either, because we're coming out to win. Because we're going out to win.
Gary,
what's he supposed to say then? Listen, all right, lads, this is Gary's team talk. Listen, you're a lovely
Gary,
bunch
I
of
bet
blokes.
you didn't hear
a lovely bunch of blokes.
You're putting words in my mouth now.
However,
don't put words in my mouth because I didn't say that.
Gonna win this one.
I said no, we're gonna win. No, actually, I said I'm not gonna say what he said. I believe we can win. No, we're coming out here to win. That's why we practiced all week and we played hard, all in practices, so we can come out there and get the win. That's what I would say.
And that's why you're
Gary,
not a manager.
Did you hear
you're not a manager either, so we can't say what he said was right. And he lost 4-0. So obviously it didn't work.
No, Gary, it was 5-1.
Oh, okay, even worse. Great.
You weren't listening. You really? So you
I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say
he said he lost 5-1. But how did we play in the game?
What you wanted to hear.
How did we play in that game that we played?
You only heard what you wanted to hear.
What was the score in the game that he was talking about?
I'm not sure whether I'm supposed to say here, Ray, for getting at Gary, or going shut up, you're making it worse. 5-1.
Gary, did you hear where Arteta said they had won twice there the last 2 years? You didn't hear that, did you?
He tweeted it out just like he did.
You won't hear what you want to hear. When you're predisposed against Arteta, You only hear what you
nothing
want
to
to
do with
hear.
that. I just told you why I didn't like the speech. You don't like it. That's your. I can't do anything about it. I didn't
Well,
like. I didn't
that's
think it was a good
literally-
speech to go out into
That's
talking
literally
about a
your
game.
handle on Twitter. Is don't waste.
Can I ask you a question, Gary, please?
You guys don't want to hear me, so
No,
why
I
just
wanna-
move on
We've
to the
listened
next
to you
subject?
for 2
Can
fucking
I ask you?
hours.
Can I ask you a question,
You
Gary?
don't want to ask. You don't want me to say anything.
Can I ask you a question, Gary? Right?
What?
All right. Are you happy with Mikel Arteta as the manager of Arsenal, or would you change him? If you had the power right now, if I gave you like 2 fucking
Fire
coins or whatever, and you could change him right now, would you do that, or would you stick with whatever it is that he's trying to do? And do you believe in it or not?
If I had a choice to just change him and get a better manager, would I do it?
Well, what I'm saying is, okay, let me rephrase it. Do you believe in the vision that Mikel Arteta seems to have for Arsenal? Whether you understand it or not, but he has a vision. Do you believe in that? And do you think that it's going to pay off? Or do you think that it's a load of shit? We should get rid of him now, and we should bring in another manager with a different vision? Or are you happy to head into the next season with him as a manager or not? I'm trying to be as direct as I can so that there's no grey areas.
I want to see how he does. Yeah, he's got a short lease though.
So you are happy to progress with him further.
Yeah.
You're happy to progress with him further.
You know, we've gone this far. I want to see this thing through.
So if I say to you now, here's the axe, right? Here's the axe. You can fucking cut his head off right now and bring in someone else and change this direction.
I vote for that one.
Yeah,
I vote for that option.
I'm trying to be as direct as I'm being.
I'm
being
horrible, but what I'm trying to.
I can go either way, and that's why I always said. That's why I always say I'm Arsenal in. What's best for Arsenal?
I know the reason.
Right now, if you told me I can bring in a better manager, and I said, "Oh, all right, I'll do that."
Yeah.
So then let's go ahead and do it.
More. I know.
I don't necessarily care because I more care about Arsenal winning games and winning trophies.
What I'm trying to get to is because the reason I'm trying to be so direct is because I've just realised up until this point that I'm not exactly sure, and I would actually like to pose this question to everyone on the panel and not just Gary, because I'm not actually sure where everybody stands. So the question is to everyone, right? Are you happy to continue to go into the next season with whatever this vision is that Mikel Arteta and Edu has and trust them? Or are you like, for example, why not? Where you're like, no, I don't like where we're going. I'm not sure about this. I feel that it's time to now. If I had the power and before we kick a ball tomorrow we kick a ball, I would like cut him now and bring in another manager. I would do it. Or do you see, longevity? That's what I'm trying to understand it from each one of the panel members, not just Gary. And the reason I said it is because I finally realized that I don't really know. I know where I am, but I actually don't know where everybody else is. And sometimes it sounds to me that sometimes people sound that they are, and I'm guilty of this, that we are behind him, but then I also hear that there's problems, uncertainties, things that pose an X. So Gary, first of all, I wasn't just honing in on you, but you're the one that I first noticed that I don't actually know where Gary stands. Just so that
Arsenal I've been that way the whole time.
No, not Arsenal. I'm talking about the manager.
You can't say I'm not Arteta in or out. I'm
Arsenal. No, but that's I'm asking you to answer my question.
Yeah, but
let me answer it first. Let me answer it first. Play the game. Play the game, right? Play the game. It's my rules. Play the game. It's my rules. So I'll answer it first. Remember when Mikel Arteta first came in, I used the scales, right? 50-50 and throughout the season. Where I am right now, I'm kind of like 60% behind Mikel Arteta. And I'm on 40%, so I'm 60-40. And the 60 is in favour. Yeah, I'm ready to go into the next season, believing of what the moves are that they're doing, and I feel hopeful. Obviously, results may change that, but that's where I am. I'm not like, the money's been badly spent. I would rather have someone else spending the money. I don't believe in this guy. I don't like him. When I listen to him speak, it doesn't make sense. I don't hear. I'm actually on board, and I'm rooting for him. Put it that way. I'm really rooting for him.
I'm surprised you're as low as 60, though.
Really?
Yeah,
He was
and
50-50
Gary's answer surprised me as well.
I told you, I want to see what's best for Arsenal.
Fair play.
But I'm not. I'm quick to let him go. I'm not going to wait around like Arsenal will let a player basically prove to them that they're not worth it multiple times. He's not going to get that. I mean, I believe.
So it sounds to me that Gary, you're not completely behind a manager. You remember last season when me and Ray were like, we've got this period of time and we're looking at that. Then you've still got. To me, it sounds like. So, what is your threshold?
At what point?
What are you looking at your next point where you're going to be dropping down a decision? Right, we kick off the season tomorrow. Is it 5 games, 10 games?
Let's ask it a different way. At what point in this season, last season, Gary, would you have sacked him? If at all.
In last season?
Yeah, last
Before
season.
Crystal Palace in October.
Gary, sorry. Jesus Christ.
Fired him last season. I would have let him play it out, and then I probably would have let him go at the end.
Okay, so you would have sacked him by now.
Yeah, I would have had a new manager come in.
Because he didn't make top 4.
No. And you know what? I would have looked at that January window and said that was an opportunity there to get whatever 3 points she needed, especially after the
Arteta's fault.
Yes, because they made a decision not to bring anybody in. They said it.
No,
they told us
that wasn't Arteta's decision.
He's part of that decision-making core that says whether or not Arteta has usually gotten everything he's wanted. Now all of a sudden you're telling me he doesn't get what he wants?
He didn't get it in January. He wanted.
Who did he want? Just the one player? Just one player? That is not one player. There were multiple players out there that could have helped us.
We could have got Bruno.
We kept saying that. There was more than one player that could have got us the 3 points that we needed. We didn't have to let certain players go. We could have brought in players. We could have brought in the player that went to Newcastle, right? There was different players we could have brought in to help us where we needed.
What's your percentage, Gary? So stands at 60-40.
Probably 50-50.
Come on.
You're not 50.
You don't like my what would I have? You don't like anything I'm going to say. So what? I give you an answer, and then you tell me that can't be it.
Give me an answer other than 50-50.
I'm 50-50 because he can go, and I would be.
Hold on, right? If that's what he thinks, that's what he thinks, right?
I don't know what you want me to say. What in the world's going on there? Somebody turn that off.
It's not me.
Alonso.
He's trying to kill my ears here.
And when I say 60-40, that doesn't mean that, by the time the transfer window shuts, and we might bring in maybe 1 or 2 more players, that will move up. But what I'm saying is I'm in the positive. When Mikel Arteta first came to the club, I was 50-50, meaning I was like, not my first pick. I would have chose someone else, but not like, oh, fucking hell, you sure? I'm going to rebel and burn the city down. I was equally balanced. And I actually think that if Gary's actually got himself into a place where he, I remember Gary all throughout last season, and he's like all of us. There were times when we were enjoying it. We were going through a good run, and we went for those barren spells and 3 games in a run of teams that, it's been an up and that's why I use the scale thing. That's why I use that system, because it can be so up and down with a manager that's never managed before as well. We've got a manager that we've decided to go with a manager that's never managed before. Bumps in the road, inconsistencies. Now we're on to that proper third season.
He's managed now, Stan.
Yeah, that proper third season. And if Gary wants to recalibrate to 50-50, I think that's fair. And for me, who started at 50-50, I'm at 60. Doesn't mean that in a couple of weeks I could be higher because you brought in 1 or 2 other people. That makes me gives me more.
If somebody tells you they're 50-50, that's a cop-out. I'm sorry.
You think so? Okay, yeah. I think it's evens.
You make a decision.
50-50.
Basically, to me, what that says to me,
how can you have a scale and 50-50 is not on the scale? What are you telling me? I can't. To make up your mind, which one? I give you an answer you don't like it.
I'll tell you what it says to me is right. If Gary was asked to bet, if Gary was asked to bet, and someone said like put down $1,000, he's not going to do it. But if someone said put down maybe $5, he'd have a flutter. Do you know what I mean? And where I am at the moment is I'd maybe put down a tenner because I'm a little bit higher on it. It's not a big amount of money, but I don't think it's a cop out.
This
Not at
should have
all.
been a 2-hour podcast.
Right,
Jesus
but
fucking Christ.
Gary is staying on a roll about bullocks.
They should have been 2
So
hours.
you're saying that when I was 50-50, that I was copying out? I wasn't.
He never said that because he's your friend today.
Ah,
See what it is? He's your friend today. He's just. I'm gonna go on Gary. I'm gonna beat up Gary today. Everybody's beating up on me today.
No,
I was 50-50 because he wasn't
right.
I was 50-50 because
Here's
he
the
wasn't
thing.
my choice. But I didn't hate it. I wasn't like, this is disgusting.
What's
you know,
that?
I'm never gonna buy another piece of merch. It just wasn't. So I was like, okay, let's see where this gamble goes.
Dan, you said 50-50 when we were getting 8th place, right?
I said it at day one.
Now we're going into a preseason where we're in
right.
best shape.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Ever.
All right.
Right.
You're saying that Gary should have more than 50-50 being this far into his tenureship.
I think you can make a decision based on what you know now. And
but maybe that is what Gary knows. Maybe that's what is Gary's. Okay, Gary, how did you feel when he was first appointed on that percentage scale? The first day you heard, where was you then?
Well, it was like,
was you against it, for it, or was you like balanced?
I thought they were gonna. Okay, I thought they knew something I didn't because I don't know what he could do coming off the bench for a Pep. So I would have rather have gotten. I didn't think he was a big enough manager to take on this game, this team. This is if we can't keep saying we are the Arsenal. We have this history. We are one of the top teams in London, one of the top teams in the world, and then do that. You basically are just cutting, just handcuffing yourself because now they went that route, which for me, that's why I always said, if you're going to bring him in, he has to have the best all around him. He has to have the best board, the best owner, the best management, the best coaching, and he definitely needed to have some of the best players coming in and somebody to bring them in. He didn't get any of that. He had to actually do a lot of that himself, and this is what you get. So you handcuff yourself with your manager, and you didn't back him entirely. You might be throwing money at him now, but you weren't throwing money at him, not money in the right places. That's when we talked about, can he bring in a director of football, right? And the former Arsenal player was up, it was an option at one point until he wasn't. And it's like, you bring in players, right? Yeah, you bring in players, you bring in, members of staff like that, and you're like, well, that's good. Now he's got somebody better around him, right? A dude doesn't know a dude's not one of the best out there bringing in players because he could, right now we know he can bring in former players that you've been associated with or those that can speak Portuguese, right? And that seems to be the best players he's brought in so far. He hasn't gone out there and got any players he's had no former, past experiences with, right? So that's why I'm saying.
What did you just say? He's brought in no players that he's had past experiences with. Did you just say that?
Yeah, because
So was fucking Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko fucking Scotch mist?
No. Arteta had we have not brought in anybody that we have never ever had any past experiences with from either Arteta or Edu. That's been it, or Portuguese. That seems to be the only places we're getting these players from. If you look at the best ones we're bringing in, all right?
Ben White,
Gabriel, Magalhaes.
With Arteta, since Arteta's been in, and Edu's been running the show. Edu didn't bring in Gabriel. We still had
Tommy Asu.
No, that doesn't hold up.
No, this is over.
Ben White.
Our best players, like I said, are all associated with us from
Ben White.
That doesn't hold up, man.
Ramsdale,
Ben White, Tommy Asu.
Most of them, yeah.
Doesn't hold up.
Okay, I'm not 100% right, but okay, that's not. But our best players that we brought in are all of similar, scenarios, right? And Ben White. A lot of people don't think Ben White's the right placement for us, and we didn't need a goalkeeper, So Partey was easy. You just pay the money and you got him, right? We missed out on a lot of players. Why?
You're looking too insular.
I'm just telling you what I feel. You don't like it, that's fine.
Sterling was easy.
Who?
Chelsea paid the money.
Chelsea paid the money. What?
Raheem Sterling was easy. Chelsea paid the money.
We're not paying the money, and that's why we're not getting some of the players, right?
Partey was easy. We paid the money.
Yeah.
Chelsea, Raheem Sterling was easy. They paid the money.
We're wheeling and dealing for a lot of these players, right? Just telling you what I think.
Yeah, no problem. Why not said it felt like 10 years, Arteta's tenure. It's been 3. When will it end right? Well, listen, it's got to go very badly wrong, right? I just feel if you want Arteta out, you got to wait another year at least. Because they're not going to do anything through the season, I believe. We should round this up. We're going for 3 hours, Tony. It's all your fault.
How the fuck's it my fault when
Hey,
Gary rambled on
calm
for
down,
90
Tony.
minutes?
All
I
right?
did not. Why is everybody going off on me today? Leave me alone. I did not run this show.
Hey, Ray, I still have a prediction in for Arsenal Crystal Palace, man.
All right, let's have it, Alonso.
Do I even exist anymore on this podcast? Or is it called Tony? Or is it called Ray and Stan's Fan Circle?
You kept trying to promote your Pepsi.
It's called
No, I didn't, Tony. I was drinking it.
Podcast is the Spanish Inquisition on behalf of Arteta. We defend them, right?
It's called Gary Fan Circle featuring Stan. So I think Arsenal going to smash Crystal Palace 3-1.
3-1. That's exactly my scoreline as well. 3-1.
And mine.
Tony, 3-1 as well. Gary?
3-1 Arsenal.
Ooh, we're all going to maybe agree on this one. Stan?
I want a 4-0, so we'll see about Arsenal.
Okay, Tony, you use your point.
That'd be nice.
Hello from Ontario.
Hey.
Hello.
Stan?
Yeah, what's the question?
What's the score tomorrow?
2-0.
There is a game. 2-0.
2-0 Arsenal. Yeah, sorry, I'm just clicking Hulu for something.
Real quickly, we're going to get out of here, but give me August points haul, 5 games. How many points are we getting, Stan?
What's the games? Sorry, I'm doing 2 things at once here. So, what's the game? Sorry.
Leicester, Bournemouth, Fulham, and Villa.
We're winning all of it.
I think we're getting 15. Actually, I'm going to go 13 points. Gary?
100.
I'm going to go 13.
You have to get 15. You have to get 15.
I see we have a newcomer in the chat box.
Yeah. You said 15, Gary?
Somebody really likes this Stan guy.
Is that the missus? Stan?
I've still got it.
12 points from
You think we're going to lose to somebody, does
Alonso.
Can't lose to anybody.
15 points.
That's the missus in Ontario.
15 points. Tony, how many we getting?
12.
Oh my God. It's over
12 points. Okay. Hey, that's fair. Right? All right, Gary. Thanks for joining. Your final word.
Thanks. You mean overtaking?
We fought a little bit tonight, but it's all good. I need to toughen you up for season 5.
Shannon thinks 100 points in 5 games. I like her. I like that.
She knows the score.
I like it. Aston Villa could be the upset, huh? Now, we can't afford any losses up until that,
It could be an upset, but
United game.
I think we can take Aston Villa even as well. Why not? I'm very optimistic on 9 points.
We need to have a lot of points going into that October period because it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, October is going to be tough. We got Liverpool, we got Tottenham in that time as well. Anyway, Gary, thanks for joining. We fought a little bit tonight. It's just to toughen you up for this season. You understand? And I want to see you tipping off of that 50-50 at some point through the season.
If it's on the scale, then I can say it, and you just have to deal with it.
Okay.
You have no problem.
Pick a number between 1 and
50-50
pick a whole number between 1 and 3. I say 3, 4, and you're like, no. I say 2. Leave me alone, man. It's too late for this.
All right, it is. Tony, thanks for joining.
I joined. I joined in. Okay.
That was me, Tony. You talked a lot more than I did. So
Serious, Tony? You interrupt everybody, and then they say you don't talk. Come on.
Alonso.
I didn't get the chance to
oh my
answer
God,
Stan's question.
he just told me this is my chance to say goodbye. Now you ruined it too. Tony, can I speak now, Tony? Is that okay with you? Tony?
All right. Listen, everyone.
Okay, thanks for having me, guys.
Stan, take us out.
Yes, man. We've got a big game tomorrow. First game of the season. Arsenal at Crystal Palace. The first 3 points are going to be extremely vital for Arsenal. If you remember last season, we went into the first game against Brentford, another London team, and we totally bollocksed it up. This is a different team. Let's come out of this one with 3 points.
Yeah. I thought we were going to do 2 hours tonight. It went close to 3. Here we go. Season starts. Final countdown. Tomorrow, all the talking stops. We all are following Arsenal, and we want 3 points, okay? Thanks, everyone. Take care. We'll see you at the weekend. Let's get those 3 points.